Oh my fucking god. OBS decided to fucking, like, they decided to, oh my god, I hate it. OBS, why did you cog out like that, you stupid, okay. Now it decides to crash on me like there's nothing wrong. What the hell, dude? It died. Dude, it's it gave me an encoding error. Shut the okay. So last thing I saw was the encoding error was, oh my god, dude. Why is OBS like this to me? Why are you doing this to me? I didn't even record for 10 fucking minutes, and it decides to do this shit to me. YouTube decided to die on me. I am so pissed off. OBS decided to fuck with me. And I think it was like, get off your yap and stop it. Oh my god. Yeah, OBS is, dude, it gave me like an encoding error, and I'm just like, oh hi Rose, hello, welcome. You just missed a whole encoding error. Okay, so OBS decided to crash out on me. I don't know why. It gave, all I know is there was some encoding error. It might be because it might have been overloaded. Who fucking knows? I'm hoping that now it'll cooperate and not do what it did. If it does die, I'm gonna have to keep doing streams, like money on the fly, like, I'm sorry. I feel like, like, that's just what's gonna happen, you know? But yeah, we were just starting to read chapter 4. I'll restart, reading it, because, we didn't even get, like, a page in, and then it decided to, like, fucking die on me. That's just, no, I can't do this anymore. I cannot freaking do YouTube, bro. OBS is a dick. Alright, really quickly, let me get the map back up. Here's the chunky map, little fucking piece of shit. Oh, Lord. Alright. I'm gonna keep an eye on it now and see if the if it's just like a limit, or like it just crashed because it was trying to get its bearings. Something with the computer. I don't fucking know. It was doing this with the other thing with the, I think that might have to do relation with the like the chat thing I was disconnected from for some fucking reason. I don't know what that was. Anyway, continuing on. Yeah, I really hope it keeps going this time. If not, I'm gonna keep doing streams until I get this freaking more of this to go. I don't know. Keep going until, like, nothing can stop me. So, all right, chapter 4. Chapter 4. So if you weren't here for the introduction or anything, we stopped at a point where this big old scary dragon comes in, and Clay and Tsunami and what else is investigating who this bitch is. Yeah, the map looks cool. Yeah, I know the map looks really cool. But we're gonna find out if OBS only had to crash out once, or is it something internal? I don't fucking know, because I'm on my new computer, so I'm hoping it's just one hiccup thing. We don't know yet. You are in Infernal Place after all. Yep. I'll keep going until until I finish this, goddammit. Alright. Clay had never really believed the legends about Nightwings. Sorry. Secretive dragons who would read minds? A hidden kingdom that no one could find? A mystery queen? The power to see the future? The way they appeared from darkness to deliver prophecies that shaped the world? It all sounded like fairy tales, but about as likely as a world ruled by scavengers instead of dragons. Besides, Clay knew Starflight, and Starflight was many things. Annoying, long-winded, smart, and too serious. But he had no magical powers, and he was never, ever scary. But the next evening, when a black dragon as a bottomless pit loomed out of the shadows of the entrance tunnel, Clay felt all the rumors about Nightwings come crashing into his head like a collapsing rock wall. Marasir was even bigger than Kestrel, and 5 times more terrifying. He spread his jagged, bat-like wings and peered down at the dragonettes lined up in front of him. He had silver scales like stars on the underside of his wings, like Starflight did. But on him they seemed to glitter from a great distance and cast a cold glow. He looked like he could easily rip off each of their heads in one bite. He also looked like he already hated the 5 dragonettes, which wasn't what Clay had expected at all. Were they such a disappointment already? Maybe Marasir was reading their minds and knew how confused they were about the prophecy. Or maybe he was seeing the future and his visions were all of failure. Failure, failure, failure. Clay could feel Sunny trembling at his side. He felt the same way, petrified in place, as if his scales were being slowly peeled off one by one, while the giant Nightwing inspected them. On his other side, Starflight was more still than Clay had ever seen him. Starflight always froze when he was frightened, and it was as if he hoped that, if by not moving, he'd disappear from view and the danger would pass right by. Clay couldn't see Glory, but he knew that when Marasir saw her, the huge black dragon stared down at the Rainwing Dragonet for a small eternity. His snout twitched with ripples of disgust. A forked black tongue slipped over his teeth. Clay wished his own big wings... Sorry, not big wing. Clay wished his own big wings were as vast as the cavern itself, so he could hide his friends from Marasir. He wished his talons were as huge as the stalagmites and as sharp as the rock shards. He wished that he were big enough to be brave, and brave enough to be big. He never wanted anything so much as he wanted to protect his friends from his tall, hissing, scornful, immensely dangerous dragon. He really, really hoped that Marasir wasn't reading his mind then. Think about cows, think about cows, think about delicious fat cows. Marasir pivoted his head slowly to glare down at the Kestrel. He lifted one long claw and pointed at Glory. "What is that?" he said, his voice loaded with enough venom to kill 20 dragons in mid-flight. Starflight took a step back, and Clay saw Glory. She was sitting on her haunches, with her long tail curled over her talons. Trails of violet and gold chased each other through her scales. Only the shades of flame around her feathery ears hinted that she was upset. She stared calmly back at Marasir. Starflight is Lucas, guys. There was an accident, Kestrel said. We lost a Skywing egg, so we had to get another one somewhere. From the Rainwings? Marasir interrupted scathingly. It was his idea, Kestrel snarled, whipping her tail toward Webb's. He brought our egg here. At least we have 5 dragonettes, said Webbs. That's what matters. Marasir peered down his long, black snout at Glory. His eyes shifted to Sunny, who let out a tiny squeak and sank a little lower to the ground. More like 4.5, he grunted. Are you supposed to be the Sandwing? Don't you eat? What's wrong with you? There was a long, horrible pause while Sunny tried to squeak out an answer. She does, Tsunami blurted. She eats fine, as much as anyone. It's not her fault she's small, Starflight chimed in to Clay's surprise. She's a good fighter, Clay said, and so is Glory. Stop talking now, Marasir said, and the silence dropped over them. His sharp, menacing gaze landed on Clay. Think about cows, think about cows, think about cows! This tall Nightwing turned into the 3 guardians. Something has gone very wrong here. Yes! Tsunami burst in again. It has, and I can tell you what. We're treated like prisoners. We've never been outside these caves, not once. All we know about this world is we're supposed to save was what we learned in the scrolls. We're supposed to be the most important dragonettes in the world, but those three treat us like blind salamanders. Clay couldn't believe it. She wasn't scared of Mars. Oh, wait, shit. Wasn't she scared of Marasir too? Tsunami, hold your tongue, Dune snapped. I will not, she cried. Please get us out of here, she said to Marasir. Please take us away with you. Please don't, Clay thought. I mean, think about cows. Now that he's seen the Nightwing, he'd rather stay trapped here. Ungrateful lizard, Kestrel growled. Without warning, Marasir lunged at Tsunami. His teeth flashed like bright white lightning darting toward her neck. It is really like the night sky falling on you, Clay thought. Then discovered he was moving too. He flung himself at the Nightwing's huge ridged back before he could stop to think about what he was doing. His claws sank into the small gaps between the shifting black scales, scrabbling for a hold. His tail thrashed as he tried to balance. Below him, he saw Tsunami rolling away and sprinting to fight back. Her blue talons slashed at Marasir's nose and underbelly. Clay tried frantically to remember his battle training. He flattened himself along with the big dragon's back, snaked his neck forward, and bit down as hard as he could. Ow! His jaw exploded with pain and he reared back. In the black on black scales, it was impossible to find a weak spot. Marasir jumped away from Tsunami and shook his whole body violently. Clay lost his grip and went flying through the air. He landed with a jarring thud, sliding halfway into the river. As he staggered to his feet, he saw Tsunami and Marasir facing each other in battle positions. Marasir made a grinding noise that deepened his throat. He stepped back and swung his tail around into view. Clinging to Marasir's tail, her teeth finally planted in the vulnerable spot near the end. It was Sunny. Clay wished he'd remember that spot, which every dragon had, no matter which tribe they came from. Marasir rumbled. That's a surprise. He pried Sunny loose with his front talons as if she were a tiny blood-sucking insect. That one will do, Marasir said, pointing at Tsunami. None of the big dragons had moved at all as he attacked their charges. Neither had Glory, neither had Starflight. Clay staggered up behind his Nightwing friend, who was doing an excellent imitation of a stalagmite. Starflight lowered his head and avoided Clay's eyes. And that one will do. Marasir nodded at Clay. Kestrel snorted. The Nightwing approved of him? Clay was confused. It wasn't as if Clay's attack had done any good. Even when Clay was defending his friend, apparently he couldn't get angry enough to drag out his inner monster. Couldn't Marasir hear everyone thinking about how Clay was going to let him down? This one. Marasir studied Sunny, from her harmless tail to her weirdly golden scales and moss-green eyes. We'll have to see. We followed the prophecy, Dune insisted. She wasn't in a clutch of eggs. I found her egg alone, buried out in the desert, just like the prophecy said. The Guardians never talked about where they got the dragonette's eggs. Sunny stared at Dune hopefully, but he fell silent under Marasir's dark eyes. As for you, Marasir said to Starflight, I assume you used your Nightwing powers to figure out that I wasn't going to harm the Sea-Wing. Perhaps you even had a little vision of my visit today. No doubt you already know what I'm going to take you into the next cavern for a private conversation. Clay shuddered. A private conversation with Marasir sounded about as much fun as having his ears roasted. He did not envy Starflight as the two Nightwings slithered toward the study room. Marasir paused in an archway and looked back at the Guardians. We'll talk about her later. He didn't look at Glory, but everyone else did. She flicked her ears and lifted her chin a little higher as Marasir's footsteps faded away down the tunnel. What does that mean? Clay worried. What was there to talk about? Stupid Sea-Wing. Kestrel shot across the cave and struck Tsunami's... Oh, wait, no, she's supposed to be screaming. Stupid Sea-Wing! Kestrel shot across the cave and struck Tsunami's snout. Complaining to the first strange dragon you see! Trying to make us look bad! Whining about your life! After all we've given up for you? If you hate this too, why don't you let us go? Tsunami shot back. This is for your safety, Webbs interjected. His voice was gentler than Kestrel's, but Clay could tell he was angry from his long blue-green tail lashed on the floor. That is what all this is for. The talons of peace need you to survive long enough to fulfill the prophecy. You have no idea how many dragons will love to get their claws on you, Five. Or what they do to you if they did, Groon growled. Our job is to keep you alive, Kestrel said, or else I would have strangled you myself a long time ago. Great, Tsunami said. Well, it's been a terrific life. Thanks very much. Kestrel made the hissing, fire is coming noise. Clay grabbed Tsunami's tail and tugged her back toward the river. We are grateful, Sunny said, jumping in front of Kestrel. She stood up in her hind legs, not even half the red dragon's size. Her golden ears twitched. We would much rather be alive than not alive. We're glad you kept us... Wait, shit. Wait, hang on a second, shit. We're glad you kept us that really... We're glad you kept us that way. Really, we are. Really, we are. Come on, Webb said. He prodded Kestrel and Dune toward their cave. We need to talk. Now he has something to say, Kestrel grumbled as the three of them had clambered over the broken stagamates. Tsunami threw herself into the river and sank into the bottom in a stream of furious bubbles, where she curled up with her talons over her head. It got very quiet in the cave. Sunny and Clay exchanged glances that looked over at Glory. The Rainwing was sitting in the same spot, with her tail still neatly curled around her feet. She yawned. Clay wished he could ever be that calm. As if nothing bothered her at all. Are you alright? Clay asked. He came around and sat in front of her, studying her face. Sunny sidled up beside Glory, brushing her violet wings and her own smaller golden ones. Of course, Glory said. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. It's not like the Minders have been doing any... Wait, it's not like the Minders have been talking about how awesome I am this whole time. But you are, Clay said. Glory tilted her head at him. Awesome. Awesome, he insisted. They just don't see... They see a Rainwing, she said with a shrug. I don't care. It's their own fault bringing me here. So why didn't you fight Marcyr when we did? Oh no, that's the wrong voice. Why didn't you fight Marcyr when we did? Sunny asked. Maybe he'd know about how brave and fierce you are too. Why bother? Glory said. It was obviously a test, and I'd already failed. A splotch of sky blue scales on her back pulsed, and then the color began to spread across her other scales, eating up the white, purple, and gold. Not white, purple, and gold. 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to get the door for somebody. Yeah, Stella is Glory. Like, I get that. Why bother? I have a friend of mine who also loves dragons and the wings of... Oh, that's cool. Awesome. They're pretty cool. Okay. Back to reading. They see a rain wing, she said with a shrug. I don't care. It's their own fault for bringing me here. Oh wait, we're not even here. Why bother? Glory said. It was obviously a test, and I have already failed. A splotch of sky blue scales on her back pulsed, and then the color began to spread across her other scales, eating up the purple and gold. Well, we don't care what the prophecy says, or what Marasir thinks, Clay said stoutly. You're our 5th dragonette. We don't want anyone else. This dragon is giving me Jesse vibes. Oh my fucking god, dude. All signs lead to MCSM. Glory gave him a rueful look. That's very sweet. I'm going to take a nap. She yawned again. Now? Sunny said, alarmed. Is that a good idea? Glory fell asleep every day, usually after lunch for a couple of hours, but Clay had expected her to stay awake while Marasir was around. He knew he wouldn't want the big dark dragon to catch him sleeping. He glanced at the tunnel to the study room, wondering uneasily how far the Nightwing's telepathy reached and whether he could read Clay's mind through rock. I'm tired, Glory snapped, and they all think I'm lazy anyway. Nothing I can do change that. Clay knew that Glory wasn't lazy. She worked harder than everyone at battle training and learning the Dragon War's history, even though none of the big dragons ever noticed. She just had a nap in the middle of the day, and probably for some rainwing reason. Mother flipper. Rainwing reason. Although it didn't seem to help, Glory was just as prickly and tired after napping as she was before. Wake me if anything exciting happens, Glory said. But make sure it's actually exciting and not Sunny exciting. She gave Sunny a friendly nudge with her snout, and the sandwing squeaked in protest. I don't think everything is exciting, Sunny flapped her wings. But you guys don't think enough things are exciting. Think of it this way, Glory said. Time to leave the caves and fulfill the prophecy. Exciting. You caught another weird-looking white crab in the river. Not exciting. Got it? She poked Sunny again, uncurled her tail, now fully blue, and slipped inside her sleeping cave. Sunny blinked at Clay. I know, he said. The last crab was really weird-looking. It was, wasn't it? She said. I wouldn't have minded if you'd woken me up to see it, Clay added kindly. Well, good, she said. I know, that's why you got to eat half of it instead of anyone else. She headed first, her favorite stalagmite, and started to climb it, hooking her claws in the holes that dotted the bulbous shape. Clay clambered up the rocks beside her. Hey, Sunny, he said. What would you think about running away? She paused and looked at him with shocked green eyes. You mean leaving the caves without our guardians? Oh no, we couldn't. We have to do what the prophecy says. Do we? He asked. I mean, we do, he said quickly as she nearly lost her grip on the stalagmite in a surprise. What if the Talons don't understand the prophecy any better than we do? Maybe we need to get out and stop the war in our own way. Sunny settled on top of the stalagmite and coiled her tail around it, balancing on her back legs. She reached up toward the stalagmites, I cannot read today, that were poking sharply down from the top of the cave. I don't think that's a good idea, Clay. If we just follow the prophecy, everything will be all right. Her claws batted the tip of the lowest stalactite, something like that, but was too small to reach it. She sat back down with a frustrated sigh. Clay glanced at the soft blue glow coming from Glory's cave. Follow the prophecy. But he couldn't help thinking that a real prophecy would have included Glory. What if the prophecy was wrong? Alright. Drink water. Yes, I know. I have like 2 drinks at my side. Oh, the colors match Jesse too. Yeah, because Clay, as you see in the cover art, hang on, let me pull up a PNG of Clay while we're taking a break a little bit because we just got to chapter 5. I'm gonna look this sumbitch up. Oh my god. Ah, my god. I gotta look up his reference image. I guess I'll put PNG. Let me quickly... There he is. So this is what Clay looks like. If that wasn't obvious from the cover already. I'll go through... I'll quickly just search up images of like the references and stuff. Oh my god. Ah! I don't want that. Wait, what selects the... No, that's not it. There we go. Okay, let me center this. Fit to screen, center to screen. There we go. Yeah, we all love Clay. Clay's cool. Let me pull up a Sunny reference like this. A reference like oh, I found something that's very spoilery. I don't want that. We all know what Starflight looks like. I'm getting every... I love the design of these dragons. Sorry, I heard a plane outside. I was like, what the fuck was that? Okay, so... Oh, Glory does? Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, Glory's a cool name. Okay, so... This is Sunny. What she looks like. There's a reference image of Starflight, but it's kind of spoilery, so... It's like... Okay, I'll send the poster image, or I'll show the poster image, because that's... not spoilers. But this is Sunny. This is Tsunami. There's two different ones. What she looks like. She either has like a bright, like, color. And then this is like her, I think her dark, like her actual book description. She's darker than she is, which I find really fascinating. And then here's Glory. Yeah, she's really cool too. She's one of my my friend's favorites as well. And then finally, Starflight. I would have a Starflight image again, but it's spoilery. There's something very specific that I can't really share because that's not. I will say it's not until book 4, which is based on him. You know. So we'll find out with that eventually. We're not there yet. We gotta go on an adventure first. So, alright, let's get back to it, shall we? Let's see. There we go. Okay. Chapter 5. Oh, should I show who Kestrel looks like? Shit. I forgot to do that. Hold on a second. I can't show only the main guys without showing, Kestrel. And the other mother flippers. Mother truckers. Because they're cool too. I mean, their designs are... let me quickly... Good old Kestrel. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Blah, blah, blah. And then there was Webs. And there was Dune as well. And then Marasir? Oh, crap. I closed off a window that I was not supposed to. I don't know. Since I was, you know, showing the other dragons, I was like, it's only fair that I show the rest of them. Okay. I love that somebody's like throwing the emojis. I've never. That's so funny. Let's see. So here's Webbs. He's a sea wing. It's one of the what we've been hearing. The nice dude. He's like that one guy, the 1-year uncle. Like, you listen to your mother, but he's like not so direct as like, you can't just talk to them that way. And then we have Dune. Yes, he has like a hole punched wing, and I think he's losing one of his legs, as you can see. So this guy's like crippled. Poor guy. And then we have the bitch herself, Kestrel. I love her red, by the way. Yeah, Skywings are crazy. They're, yeah, she looks like a mean bitch right out of the gate. And here's Marasir, which you can barely fucking see because he's black as shit. Let me, oh my god, alright. Let me see if, like, actually, oh god. Even now you can't even see him. That's more, like, accurate. Marasir. When Clay said he was dark as fucking night and the sky falling on him, he wasn't fucking kidding. This guy is like... It's like a punk-ass bitch, that's what he is. Okay, since we got everyone's introductions, let's continue with chapter 5. Let me blow my nose real quick. Let me mute that so you don't have to listen to that. All right. Now let's really get on to chapter 5. Oh no, I ripped a little page. It's okay, this thing's old. Kind of needs that aesthetic to it. You know what I mean? It seemed like a long time later when Starflight finally slunk back into the main hall with Marcyr close behind him. Clay couldn't tell whether Starflight had told Marcyr the truth, that he didn't have visions or read minds. He was just ordinary, like the rest of the Dragonettes. But who would be brave enough to tell Marcyr that? The enormous Nightwing slithered off into that Guardian's cave without a word to Sunny or Clay. Starflight glanced at them, and then turned and headed for his sleeping cave. Clay hurried after him. "What happened?" he asked. "What did he say to you?" "I'm not supposed to talk about it," Clay said stiffly. He sat down in the middle of their cave, his wings askew behind him, and started poking through the scrolls on the floor. "It's over here," Clay said, nudging a fat scroll with silver letters that rolled under his sleeping ledge. Starflight hooked it over with one talon, tucked it under a wing, and carried it up to his ledge. He curled up with his tail draped over his nose and started reading. "Wow," Clay said. "So, was it that bad?" Tales of the Nightwings was Starflight's favorite scroll, and he always read it when he was upset or fighting with one of the other Dragonettes. The tip of Starflight's tail twitched. "I have a lot to learn," he said. "But you already know everything," Clay said. You have to be the smartest Dragonet in all of Pyria. Couldn't he tell that by reading your mind?" Starflight didn't answer. "I thought he liked you," Clay said. "Surely he said something about what a great and noble dragon you must be, because you're a Nightwing." A long, tired breath whooshed out of Starflight's snout. "Yeah," he said. "That's exactly what he told me, actually." "Oh," Clay said. "Well, that's good, isn't it? Didn't he say when you'll get your powers?" Starlight fidgeted with the scroll, shredding a corner it between his claws. Clay had never seen him so upset enough to damage a scroll without noticing. He wished he could say something helpful, but he couldn't think of a single useful thing to say about the Nightwings. "At least you're not a Rainwing," he tried. "Did Marcyr say anything about glory?" Starflight frowned at him over the edge of the rock. "Not much," he said. "Don't worry about the Rainwing, I'll take care of it." Clay felt a cold chill climb up through the stone floor and spread through his scales. "What does that mean? What is he going to do?" "How should I know?" Clay poked his nose back into the scroll. "Maybe she'll get to go home. She's probably the luckiest of all of us." The pulse of fear pounding in Clay's head disagreed. He couldn't see the Guardians just releasing glory, not after all the years of secrecy. "We have to go spy on them," he said, jumping to his feet. "We have to know what they're planning." He stopped halfway out of the cave and stamped on one foot in frustration. "Oh no, we can't. Marcyr would know we're there." "Right," Starflight said, "and he'll hear you thinking of all your loud, big, worried thoughts." "You don't know that my thoughts are loud and worried," Clay said. "Maybe they're quiet and very serene." Starflight snorted with amusement, the first happy sound he made since Marcyr showed up. Even through his worry, Clay was pleased. "What are you doing?" Clay's anxious voice echoed across the main hall. "What's that for?" The heavy thread of Dragon's footsteps reached their ears along with an ominous clinking. "Stop! Wait! You don't have to do that!" There was an enormous splash. Clay raced to the big cave with Starflight. I keep calling him Starlight. Fuck! Starflight close behind him. He skidded to a halt, horrified. Kestrel and Dune were standing on the bank of a river, holding a length of iron chain around between her talons. Behind them, Marcyr was holding Sunny back with his tail as the tiny golden dragon tried to climb over him. Webs emerged from the river, dragging a writhing, hissing ball of blue scales. Kestrel and Dune threw the chain around Tsunami's neck and wrapped it around one of her legs. The three guardians hauled her over to one of the rock columns that stretched from the floor to the ceiling high above. Dune flung the chain around the column twice, binding Tsunami with barely 3 steps to move in any direction. Kestrel took the 2 ends of the chain and blasted them with a bolt of flame. That was a cool sentence. The metal melted into bubbling mass, welded together. Tsunami was trapped. Maybe some time away from the river will teach you to be grateful for what you have, Kestrel growled. It all happened so fast. Clay didn't have time to figure out what was happening, let alone stop it before it was too late. He let out the yell of dismay and charged across the cavern. Let her go! He grabbed the chain and let it go at once, hissing with pain in the searing heat. You'll regret this, Tsunami snarled. She clawed at the chain around her back leg, pulling on it and tightened the loop around her neck. With a hiss, she stopped struggling. When we're free, when my family hears about this, when the rest of the world finds out how you treated the Dragonets of Destiny, all of your big dreams of your wonderful family, Kestrel mocked her. They don't care about you. When it's time to fulfill the prophecy, you will be alive, and the Talons of Peace will have you, and that's all that matters. Why are you doing this? Sunny cried. Tsunami's the good one. She's wonderful. If anyone can save the world, it's her. Actually, Tiny Sandwing, Marcia rumbled, the Dragonet you should believe is in Starflight over there. He nodded at Starflight, still rooted in place by the sleeping cave. Starflight ducked his head. Nightwings are natural... Nightwings are natural leaders. You do what he says, and you'll be all right. Clay glanced over at Starflight and saw Glory standing in the archway of her own sleeping cave. Marcier narrowed his eyes at her. I'll be back tomorrow, he said to the Guardians, to make sure that everything has been dealt with. We understand. We understand. What the fuck's wrong with you? I'm sorry, sir. We understand, Kestrel said. Together, she and Dune rolled this boulder aside. Something got caught up in my throat. Marcier squeezed through the gap and disappeared into the blackness without a backward glance. This is for your own good, Webb said, stopping in front of Tsunami. She ranked her talons at him, and he stepped back. We only want to keep you safe. Maybe this isn't the perfect way, but Dragonets don't know what's best for them, Dune said as the boulder thudded back into place. You need us, whether you like it or not. You were all awful today, Kestrel said. No dinner for any of you. Go to bed, and I don't want to hear a squawk of anyone until morning. Really? What else are you going to do to me? Tsunami challenged her. What if I feel like singing all night? She started howling in her off-key voice. Oh, the Dragonets are coming. They're coming to save the day. They're coming to fight. They know what's right. The Dragonets, hooray! Your fault. Dune started at Webbs. I told you not to teach him that horrible bar song. Oh, the Dragonets are coming! Tsunami bellowed even louder. We have more chains! Kestrel yelled in her ear. We could throw one around your snout if you'd like me to force you to be quiet. Tsunami paused, glaring at her mutinously, then took another breath and opened her mouth. Or we can chain up one of your friends, Kestrel offered. Perhaps Clay would like to spend the night hanging it from a stalactite, so you have... Stalactite? And so you have more company out here. Clay shifted uneasily on his feet, wondering if there was anywhere he could hide outside of Clay shifted uneasily on his feet, wondering if there was anywhere he could hide out of Kestrel's reach before she could grab him. Tsunami snapped her jaw shut and lay down with her head turned away from all the dragons. Her gills fluttered furiously, but she kept quiet. Much better, Kestrel said. She stomped off to her tunnel, her red scales flaring brightly in the fire's reflection. Webbs followed her with his wet tail leaving a darker trail behind him. Sunny pounced on Dune's tail before he could go after them. Please don't leave her like this. I know you're not that mean. Dune shook her off. We're doing what we have to. He then went after the others. As soon as they were gone, Clay tried tugging on Tsunami's chains again. They were hopelessly strong. Clay, stop! Tsunami whispered. You know what you have to do. Go quickly! Clay shivered, dreading the cold water, but she was right. For the first time, spying on the Guardians was really important. He ran over to the river and dove in. Through the water, he could hear the muffled echo of Sunny's nervous squeak as he swam against the current to the rock wall. Without Tsunami's glow-in-the-dark scales to guide him, it took longer than usual to find the gap that led through to the other cave. But finally he felt the open space under his claws as he dunked and squeezed through. His heart was hammering in his chest as he popped through into the cave. Slowly he paddled to the surface and poked his ears out into the air. This wasn't the loud confrontation they heard the previous night. This time, the 3 dragons were huddled around a fire, whispering. None of them glanced at the river as Clay floated closer. When tomorrow? When tomorrow? Webbs asked. Kestrel leaned toward the fire, making her scales an even brighter red. He'll be back by midday. It has to be done by then. Her tail was coiled in a tight knot beside her. He doesn't want to see her again. Clay clenched his talons under the water. They had to be talking about Glory. Well, I'm not doing it, Webb said. Dune shot him a withering look. No one thought you would. Even though this is all your fault, said Kestrel. I still think we need 5 of them, Webb snapped. What is he going to do about that? He'll find us a Skywing, Kestrel said, properly this time. No colorful substitutions. They all went quiet for a moment, staring into the fire. So, how and when? Dune said in his no-nonsense military voice. Drowning would be simplest. He glared at Webbs. I joined the Talons of Peace to stop killing dragons, Webb said. I won't argue with Marasir, but I'm not doing it myself. It has to be me, Kestrel said in a choked, tense voice. She's just a Rainwing, but she still might get away from you. She nodded at Dune's missing foot, and the long scar that ran through his mangled wing. Is everyone still here? Just making sure. I think everyone is. I think they're just you guys are like I'm in the zone. Everyone's in the zone right now. She nodded at Dune's missing foot and the long scar that ran through his mangled wing. But can she go through with it? Webbs asked. Isn't it too much like, I mean, we all know what happened. That was totally different, Kestrel snapped. Glory is just a Rainwing. I don't care about her. I don't even like her. She blasted a ball of flames She blasted a ball of flames at the fire so it blazed up. Yay! You guys are all still here, okay? I like how you guys, like, I get it. I'm not saying that it's bad you guys are not saying anything. I just find it really cool that you guys are, like, you know, immersed. Like, I find that really cool. Oh, man. That was totally different, Kestrel snapped. Glory is just a Rainwing. I don't care about her. I don't even like her. She blasted a ball of flames at the fire so it blazed up. If you're sure, Webb started. I'll do it tonight while she's sleeping, Kestrel said. I can get in there and break her neck before the others know what I'm doing. Especially with the bossy one safely chained up. Tsunami's the only one who could stop me. Shudders of horror were running through Clay so violently that he was afraid one of the big dragons would notice the waves on the water. He began paddling softly backward, but froze when he heard his name. Not Clay? Not Clay? Dune asked. He might try at least. He'll definitely try, Webb said. Dumb as a rock, but he's devoted to the other 4. It's not natural. That's so much loyalty in a dragon, Dune said. Especially to dragons outside your own tribe. I can handle him, Kestrel said. Even if he finally gets mad like we want him to, there's nothing he can do to stop me. Clay had heard enough. He sank down below the surface and swam toward the gap in the wall. What do we do? What can we do? What can I do? There's no time. How do I save her? We're on chapter 6 already. Hehehe. Yes, the Jesse connections are growing as fuck. No wonder I fucking loved this series when I was younger. No wonder, like, because I was knee deep into my story mode craze. Because that was, like, the prime time, so. Okay. Okay, so, if I remember correctly, these last few, okay, 36 chapters, but they're gonna kind of go all fast, because this isn't, like, we're not gonna read all through all of it, okay, guys? Chill out. It's not true, Sunny said. They wouldn't. They definitely would, said Tsunami. They'll do anything if they think it's right for the prophecy. The dragonets all look at Glory, whose scales had gone pale green. Even her usual aloof expression was gone. She paced around Tsunami's rock column, lashing her tail. But we won't let them, Clay blurted. He was still panting and dripping icy water. Right? Oh, wait. I have to redo that. But we won't let them... Clay blurted. He was still panting and dripping icy water on the stone floor. Right, Tsunami? We'll stop them. You don't have to get involved, said Glory. This is my problem, not yours. How will you stop them? Clay asked... Wait, wrong direction. Tsunami asked Clay, ignoring her. Even all of you together are no match for Kestrel, especially with Dune helping her, and I can't do anything. She bared her teeth and snapped at her chains, pulling it around one of her neck, dangerously tight. So we escape, Clay said, just like you wanted. We get you out of here and we escape, tonight, right now. Escape? Sunny squeaked. Seriously, Glory said. Apple red stripes flickered across her ruff like lightning. You don't have to do anything. I'm the one who doesn't fit in. I'll fight her, or figure something out. Of course we have to do something, Clay said fiercely. If escape were that easy, we would have done it already, Starflight pointed out. He stepped around Glory, stood up on his back legs, and tapped on the boulder that blocked the entrance. This is the only way out, and if they have it rigged on a mechanism that only the big dragons can move. They do? Clay said. Starflight nodded. You know how Dune never leaves because he can't fly? He has a stone that fits in the slot. He tapped a grooved niche in the stone wall. He turns it in here to unlock something that they can only roll the boulder from the inside the cave. But when Kestrel webs come out from outside, there must be a lever or switch they can use to open it from out there. Oh. Clay felt like an idiot, for trying so hard to roll the big rock all these years. He never even noticed that Dune unlocked something before moving the boulder. He never thought about twice about the oddly shaped stone that was always around the sand dragon's neck. So we can steal Dune's rock? Oh wait, no, wrong voice. So we can steal Dune's rock? Sunny suggested. Terrible idea, Glory said immediately. They'll catch us for sure, Starflight said to Sunny, more kindly. Especially tonight, when they're already high alert because of Marcyr. Well, then, what about the sky? Is there any way to move the boulder without the rock? Tsunami interrupted her. Starflight shook his head. Only from the outside. It's impossible in from here. Believe me, I've thought about it. Maybe the sky, Sunny said. And we couldn't force it? Clay asked Starflight. Even if we all leaned on it really hard? Starflight shook his head as Glory said. This is all really sweet, guys, but you shouldn't get in trouble for me. Marcyr likes the rest of you. Just let me handle myself. Stop that, Tsunami snapped at her. Acting like a martyr won't help right now. Glory bristled. I am not acting like a martyr. I'm trying to make sure nobody gets killed for no reason. Besides you, Tsunami argued, it's fine if it's you getting killed for no reason. It just doesn't matter, Glory said. I'm not even the prophecy, so who cares what happens to me? I swear I'm gonna kill you myself, Tsunami growled. Glory, she's trying to say that we care, Clay interjected, in her usual gentle way. Guys, what about the sky hole? I know, it says in the rush. Guys, what about the sky hole? Sunny said in a rush, jumping into a brief pause in the conversation. In the study room? In the study room, can't we fly up to it and squeeze out? Sunny, don't be ridiculous, Tsunami said. It's way too small, Starflight explained. We never fit, especially Clay. But maybe I might, Sunny said. I could climb out and then go around and open the boulder from the outside, like Starflight said, right? And then I could let you all out? Clay brushed her wing and twined his tail around hers. Twined his tail around hers. Sunny hadn't even thought of escaping before today, and yet she was volunteering for the most dangerous part of it without any hesitation. It won't work, Starflight said. I'm sorry, Sunny. I flew up to the hole when no one was around. Me too, said Tsunami. Me too, said Glory. Clay felt slow. He sat below the sky hole often enough, watching the stars or clouds or rain overhead, but he'd never flown up to it or tried to climb out. Apparently the other dragonets had thought about escape a lot more than he had. The hole is smaller than you think, Starflight said to Sunny. I can barely fit my head through it. It's not a way out. The Minders wouldn't have left it if there was, Glory said, but she stopped next to Tsunami, waves of dark green pulsing from her ears to her tail. They're too careful. There's no escape. There's no way to escape. There must be, Clay said desperately. He could feel time slipping away. Kestrel might come down to kill Glory at any moment. She wouldn't care if they all saw her do it. She could tell that Tsunami was thinking hard. She kept looking at him like she wanted to say something, then stopped herself. What if we tried talking to them? Sunny offered hesitantly. Maybe we could convince them to let her go instead? Glory snorted. Nobody else answered. Sunny sighed, pressing her wings back against her sides. Let me quickly look. Okay, I see. You have an idea, Clay said to Tsunami. I can tell. You've been working on an escape plan forever. She wound her talons through the chains, hissing. It's too dangerous, she said. It was supposed to be me. He caught her sideways glance and followed her eyes to the river. The river? They only ever gone upstream, into the Guardian's cave. Downstream, the river flowed from the main cavern along the tunnel into the battle cave, and then Clay had no idea where it went. The roof of the battle cave sank lower and lower until the river disappeared. Clay had never explored underwater in the battle cave. He never wondered about where the river went. But of course, Tsunami had. Do you know where the river goes? He asked. No, I mean, I've seen the gap in the wall, but it's even smaller than the one to the Guardian's cave, she said. I've never been through in case I couldn't get back, but the river has to go somewhere. Can we get out that way? He said. Not all of us, she said. Only me. And me, he said. She shook her head. Clay, you can't. We have no idea what's on the other side. You can only hold your breath for an hour, and you could get trapped with no air and drown. And you can't see in the dark like me. You'd be swimming blind into You'd be swimming blind into who knows what. It has to be a sea wing who goes. It has to be me. And even if you did get out, Starflight said, how would you find us again? How would you get back into this cave from the outside? The sky hole, Clay said, pouncing on the idea of his own at last. You guys start a fire in the study room, and I'll follow the smoke back to you. Then I'll know the entrance is nearby, and once I find it, I can let you all out. Glory's eyes glinted. I can think of a few scrolls I like to burn. Clay grinned at the shocked expression on Starflight's face. Oh no! I forgot about that. Yeah, me too, he said. Throw the slug-like qualities of Mudwings on there and think of me. Stop joking about this, Tsunami cried. Clay, you can't go and that's final. You almost certainly die. But Glory will die if I don't. He said. Right? There's no other way. Tsunami growled and thrashed her whole body, straining against the chains. The heavy links pressed into the scales of her neck, and she stopped with a cough. Wait, you won't be able to see the smoke until daylight, Sunny said worriedly. Won't Kestrel come look for Glory before then? Clay's hopes dropped like a boulder in his stomach. He haven't thought of that. He might not make it back in time. It might be all for nothing. Then Glory smiled, and her scales shifted into a warm rosy pink. I know what to do, she said. Starflight's method. Act like a lump and hope no one notices you? Tsunami said sarcastically. Hey! Starflight protested. Exactly, Glory said. She crouched down to the floor. Slowly, if the stone were eating her alive, grays and browns and blacks crept over her scales. All her beautiful colors faded away. The shadows in the crags behind her appeared perfectly reproduced, as if the dragonets were seeing right through her. She closed her eyes and vanished. Wow, Sunny said faintly. I mean, I knew you could, but I never... The Guardians don't know I can do this. They all chummed as Glory's voice came to the top of a stalemate. I guess it's a good thing we never studied Rainwings after all. I'll find a corner and hide. You don't even have to risk the river, Clay. I could just stay like this. For how long? Starflight said. Until you starve or one of them catches you accidentally. Tsunami was right earlier. We do need to get out of here as soon as we can. Sunny gave Tsunami an unhappy look. Why didn't anybody tell me? She asked, but no one answered her. All right, said Glory with a sigh. Her green eyes appeared again, halfway across the cave. She was looking straight at Clay. Do what you want, as long as you're not doing it only for me. I'll stay out of the way until Clay comes back to get us. Clay felt the rosy pink color was rising up through his scales now. Glory trusted him. She believed that she could do this. He could save her. He could save all of them. He just had to survive the river first. I like how your voice changes when you say the dragon's lies. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's like reading a script. Makes it more fun and interactive if you're not speaking in monotone, you know? Clay and Tsunami not being Petra and Jesse for real right now. Chapter 7. I hate this. Tsunami called softly. I hate this a lot. She beat her wings against the chains that trapped her. I don't love it either, said Glory's voice. Shh! Starflight scolded from the riverbank. Clay stood in the shallows, shivering as the icy water washed over his talons. He wished he could take fire with him underwater. He wished he knew what he was getting into. He really wished he didn't have to go alone. But he had to do this. He glanced at the corner of the cave where Glory had disappeared. Are we sure this is the only way? Sunny asked, splashing the river with her tail. I bet I could think of some more ideas with a little more time. We don't have any more time, Clay said. Follow the current, Starflight said to Clay. Don't leave the river. If it goes out in the world anywhere, the current should take you there. If, Clay thought. Stop and rest any time you find a place to breathe, Starflight went on. If you can't find a place where the river surfaces, don't panic or you run out of air faster. Clay felt like he was panicking already. When he thought about swimming into the inky blackness with no idea if he ever could breathe again, his whole body tightened with fear. He felt the rush of wingtips next to his and turned. The river eddied around the blurry outline of Glory beside him. "Go hide," he whispered. "Thank you, Clay," she said quietly. I'll never admit I said this, but I want you to know I could have never made it through the last 6 years without the four of you." "Same here," Clay said. Growing up under the mountain without Glory, Sunny, or Tsunami, or Starflight would have been too miserable to bear. "Me too," Starflight said. Sunny nodded. She twined her tail in Glory's and touched one of Clay's talons. "Good luck," said Glory. She stepped out of the river and melted back into the shadows. "Be really, really careful, Clay," Tsunami said. Her chains were taut around her legs and neck as she leaned toward them. "Come back if you have to. Don't keep going if it's too dangerous." "Don't you dare die," Sunny added, flinging her forearms around his neck and beating his wings with hers. You'll all stay safe too," Clay said. He took a deep breath and then another. "I'll be rolling away that boulder before you know it." He couldn't delay any longer. He nodded his friends and dove into the river. Swimming helped him warm a little, but his scales still felt crusted with ice by the time he made it down into the tunnel into the battle cave. He swam for the far wall, where the rock sloped down into the water. He floated for a moment, feeling the current tugging him. Then he inhaled and dove down. By the flickering light of the torches above, he could see the patch of wall that was darker than the rest. Tsunami was right. This hole was smaller than the gap to the Guardian's cave. Well, it was flatter, but wider too, more like a snarling dragon mouth, complete with sharp outcroppings like teeth. He couldn't see anything but darkness on the other side. Clay, should I put an underwater cave, or should I just, leave it as it is? It's in a cave still, so I'm assuming... I don't know. I feel like this one, I don't want to, keep pulling up videos and, just keep reading. Just keep reading! Either works. I don't know. I don't know. It's still a cave, so I'll just keep going with it. Clay reached one forearm into the hole and felt nothing but emptiness. Dark water rushed past him. He arrowed to the surface and took the longest, deepest breath of his life, hoping it won't be his last. The water closed over his head in an awful, final kind of way. He tried not to think about that. With a few swift kicks, he swam back into the hole and grabbed the rocks on either side to brace himself. He folded his wings tightly to his body and snaked his head through the hole. His shoulders followed, and then his wings, scraping painfully against the stone teeth. His front talons found a lip of rock ahead of him, and he seized it, pulling himself forward. He felt his shoulders slip into an open space, just as his haunches got stuck. His back claws scrabbled for a grip. He tried to flatten himself into the rock, swishing himself sideways. He wriggled as hard as he could, remembering Starflight's instructions. Don't panic, don't. He popped loose so suddenly that he spun forward, head over tail, and had to flay around with his wings to straighten himself out. As he did, he felt stone brushing his wingtips on either side. Cautiously, he reached out into the darkness. Rock pressed closely around him. The river was narrow here, and the current was strong. It carried him forward even when he wasn't trying to swim. Everything was pitch dark. He tried paddling up to find the surface of the water, but his head barked painfully against the rock ceiling. There was no air here, only a tight channel filled by the river. He wasn't even sure there was space to turn around if he wanted to go back. But I don't want to go back. I can't go back. Clay forced himself to swim, kicking his back legs and waving his wings as much as he could in the cramped space. Water gurgled in his ears as if it were laughing at his efforts. His heartbeat seemed louder than he ever noticed before. He didn't know how long he swam through the dark, twisting channel, but after a while his chest began to hurt. He had never actually tried holding his breath for an entire hour before. The Dragonets only knew that he could because that's what it said about Mudwings in a couple of scrolls. What if it took practice? What if only full-grown Mudwings could do it? What if his lungs were still too small? What if he drowned down here alone and his friends never knew what happened to him and Kestrel killed Glory and he really was the most useless Dragonet in Pyria? I will not panic. Clay climbed toward the surface for 100th time, setting his jaw stubbornly, still only solid rock above him. But it seemed like the rock was slanting upward. Was it? He reached up to his wings up to brush against the stone and swim faster. The channel was definitely getting wider. He couldn't feel the walls on either side of him anymore. Suddenly, the rock above him disappeared as well. The strength of the current dropped away. It felt like he swum out to a wide open pool. Clay beat his wings, rising up and up through the dark water, his tail lashing to drive him forward. He was deeper than he realized, far below the surface. But were those stars above him? He nearly sucked in a mouthful of water of excitement. He could have made it outside already. Something was shining overhead. He could see small spots of light, like the night sky through the hole. His head burst out of the water. Clay yelped with glee as he breathed in and out, grateful for air like he had ever been before. But his voice echoed back to him, bouncing off the cave walls. This air didn't smell like the sky, and he couldn't hear anything beyond the stillness of rock and fading echoes of his own cry. He floated on the surface of the pool. The current was still moving sluggishly somewhere below his talons. All was darkness around him except for the points of light overhead. Glowworms. He was still under the mountain in a cave full of thousands of glowworms. The eerie little insects pulsed with a greenish light. Glowing tendrils hung from several of them, like a shimmering star curtain above him and around him in the pool's reflection. By their dim light, he could faintly see the distant arch of cave walls. He wasn't outside, but at least he was breathing. He followed starflights of ice, resting as long as he dared. It was so cold in the water that he couldn't feel the tip of his tail or the outer ridge of his wings. He tried breathing a spurt of fire up into the air, but his chest was too frozen to produce more than a flicker of flame. It was almost more than he could bear to make himself duck under the water again. But finally he took another deep breath and dove. For a terrible moment he was afraid he'd lost the current. He had no idea where he had come in. He had no idea if the river even left this cave. What if this wide, silent pool was the end? Could he make it back to his friends fighting the strong current the whole way? He realized that when he floated, there was something carrying him along. It was weaker, but the current was still there. He spread his wings wide and stretched his tail down, letting himself drift like a leaf until he was sure which direction it went. On the far side of the cave, in the dim light of the glowworms, he found a passageway where the river left the pool. The ceiling was still far above him. He could swim and breathe for a little while longer. Clay beat his wings to push himself through the water. It was peaceful and creepy at the same time, with all the star worms glowing overhead like a million burning eyes. But it was too much preferable to a solid rock. Complete darkness and no air. After a while, the current started to pick up again. Clay's wings brushed against rocks jutting out of the river, and the glowworms were fewer and farther in between. The darkness seemed to press down like Kestrel crushing him during battle training, and then he heard the roaring. Clay's ears picked up. Was it dragons? His first thought was that he was hearing Kestrel, roaring in fury as she was discovering she had lost Glory and Clay. But he was too far away to hear anything like that. Then he started to worry. What would Kestrel do when she found Clay and Glory missing? Would she punish the others, especially Tsunami, all chained up and unable to fight back? He was so distracted worrying about his friends that it took him a while to notice that the roaring was getting louder. Suddenly he bashed into a boulder sticking out of the river. Reeling with pain, Clay spun in the water, flailing for a hold on something. He crashed into another rock, bounced off, and slammed yet into another. The river was going so fast now that he couldn't stop himself. He was being dragged toward the roaring at top speed. With a jarring shock, he hit a splur of stone and dug in with all his talons. The rushing water whipped past him, seizing his tail and all his wings with icy, desperate fingers. Clay fought his way out of the river until he stood, gasping on bare rock. He swept his tail around, trying to feel how big a rock he was standing on. It was big, and stretched farther than he could reach. He edged forward until he was sure that he was standing on the bank of a river. A slope beside him rose away from the river. He could feel a small trickle of stream bubbling down the slope, joining the river near his talons. Clay dropped his head, trying to think. Now that he was out of the water, the cold was penetratingly deep. It coiled and twisted around his bones. He coughed, hoping to summon a flame, but it was no use. It's no use! Some dragons carried fire with them always. A skywing or nightwing could blast flames any time. Sea wings and ice wings could never breathe fire. But others, like mudwings, needed the right conditions. Warmth, most of all. Remembering his fire-breathing failures, Clay could hear Kestrel's scornful voice hissing about what a disappointment he was. Not this time, he thought. I will figure this out. He could guess what the roaring was, although he had never seen a waterfall, and he certainly didn't want to experience one for the first time in total darkness. Even if he could fly over it, without his sight he'd be sure to run into something and crash. But he couldn't leave the river, could he? Clay set one claw in the trickling stream and was surprised to find it was a little warmer than the river. Where did it come from? Up. Surely up meant closer to the surface in the outside world. He inhaled, hoping to catch the scent of the outside. But the only faint smell was of rotten eggs. He set his jaw. The stream had led to somewhere not over a waterfall. Clay spread his wings to feel the cave walls and crept up the stream, slipping now and then onto the slick stone. Soon he felt a ledge ahead of him. He climbed over it and splashed into a deeper pool. The rotten egg smell was much stronger up here. He tried to wade forward and the water crept up his legs. Suddenly he felt a stinging pain slice through the softer scales of his underbelly. With a hiss, he scrambled back up on the ledge. His wings caught up on something sticky overhead, and he felt the same sharp pain shivering through his tendons. He pulled his wings in close to his body quickly, but the stickiness came with it and suckered into his scales like enormous globby leeches. Ooh, voice crack. Leeches! It felt like the poison in Dune's tail stabbing him in 1,000 places, dissolving his skin from the inside out. Clay let out an agonized yell and tried to stumble back down the slope into the river, but he lost the feel of the stream under his claws. He was stumbling blind over bare rocks. Frantic to escape the pain, he lunged forward toward the sound of the waterfall. His head collided with something hard that knocked him to the cave floor. As he lost consciousness, his last thought was, I failed them. Chapter 8. Freezing water splashed over Clay's head. He woke up with a gasp as the rest of his body was plunged into the river. Strong talons gripped his shoulders, shoving him under the water. He thrashed, terrified, and the current nearly dragged him away. The other dragon yanked his head into the air and shouted, Quick struggling, I'm saving you! Clay went limp and let himself be shoved under again. He felt the sticky position washing from his scales. Sticky poison, sorry. He felt the sticky poison washing from his scales, although the pain lingered. As his panic died down, memory clicked on. He lunged back into the surface. Tsunami! He yelped. He tried to wrap his wings around her, flapping and splashing in the dark. Her claws dug into the spines along his back. Seriously, Clay, stop moving! She whacked his tail back into the water with her own. I don't know what this wife stuff is, but it smells awful, and I think it's trying to dissolve your scales. You should stay in the water until it's all gone. She moved his claws into the rock and helped him hang on against the fierce current while she poured more water over his head. He strained his eyes trying to see her, even a black shadow that might be her, but it was too dark. He clung to the feeling of her cold, wet scales against his. She was really here. How'd you get free? He asked through chattering teeth. Oh wait, no, he's like, how did you get free? He asked through chattering teeth. They had to shout to be heard over the roaring waterfall. Fire! Tsunami said. I realized if Kestrel flames could merge the chains together, maybe more fire would break them apart. She knew I couldn't do it, and as usual, she figured we wouldn't help each other, because that's not dragon nature or whatever. It took Sunny and Starflight together to get their fire hot enough, but they blasted one of the links until it melted, and then I followed you as fast as I could. Clay rested his head on the rock by her talons. It felt like the cracks beneath the scales were singing high-pitched arias of pain. Well, he said, as you can see, it's going great so far. I was just about to save the day. You would have, Tsunami said. I'm sure you would have woken up soon and made it to the river on your own. She batted one of his wings lightly with hers. Clay wasn't sure of that at all, but he wasn't about to add whining to the list of things wrong with him. Did you see the glowworm? Wait, no, wrong one. Did you see the glowworms? He asked instead. Kind of cool, right? Oh, I can beat that. A moment passed, and then Tsunami's stripes began to glow along her wings and tail. She even turned on the rules of light along her snout. Dimly, the cave took shape around them. Clay had never been so happy to see anything in his life. Thanks, he said. It seems kind of unfair. You guys can see in the dark, and it's the rest of us who actually need glowing scales. Tsunami ducked her head in an odd, embarrassed way. Well, they're not meant to help. Oh, shit. Well, they're not meant to help us see, she said. Clay stretched his legs and tail under the water. The goop on his scales was gone, but the stinging was still there, battling the freezing numbness caused by the river. Really? He said, trying to take his mind off the pain. Then why do you glow? He'd never seen Tsunami stammer over anything. Now he was really curious. Tell, he said, slashing her. You know, you're doing that thing you do, she said, where you talk about something ridiculous and you don't have to deal with something serious. I'm not, Clay protested. You're the one who's ducking the question. All right, fine, she said with a grimace. Glowing in the dark, Webb says it's to attract other sea wings. That's how we choose our partners, or whatever. She shoved his head under the water again and he came up sputtering. Now, aren't you sorry that you asked? He was, a little bit. The idea of Tsunami leaving them for another sea wing with cool glowing scales made Clay feel extra blobby and drab. So, we can't go up the rocks, he said. What do we do about the waterfall? He hoped that she wouldn't ask whether his scales still hurt. He just had to toughen it out until the pain went away. She grinned. We dive right over it, she said. How high could it be? And how many sharp rocks could there be at the bottom? He countered. I'd like to see what we're jumping off first, please. All right, let's go check it out, she said, releasing him and leaping into the water. The current swooshed her away, and he had to let her go of his rock and follow her quickly before the light of her scales disappeared. Tsunami! He called. There was no way she could hear him over the roaring waterfall. An underwater boulder slammed into his belly, and he inhaled a mouthful of water. A river. Choking and coughing, he paddled after the blurry glow in the distance. Suddenly the glow vanished, and he was plunged into darkness again. Tsunami! He roared. A beat later, Clay felt the air suddenly yawn wide in front of him. Some instinct kicked in, and he lashed out with his talons and tail. One of his claws caught a jagged spur of rock, and he flung his front talons around it just as the rest of him flew out into space. He was dangling over the waterfall. He dug his claws into the rock and hung on for dear life, scrunching his eyes shut even though the darkness was dark enough. His poisoned, riddled skin screamed with agony as it stretched below his scales. He couldn't bear to think of how far Tsunami might have fallen. He could picture her broken body somewhere far below him. Something whacked his foot. Watch out, Clay! Tsunami's voice teased. It's really dangerous. You might stub a claw. Clay opened his eyes. The waterfall crashed beside him, cascading into a foamy pile of bubbles only a short distance below his dangling black back claws. Tsunami was splashing and somersaulting in the pool, flipping waves at him with her tail. "Hang on tight," she cried. "Whatever you do, don't let go." Wait, no. Wrong tone. "Hang on tight," she cried. "Whatever you do, don't let go." "Ha ha ha ha," he said. He stirred the water below him with his tail, checking for rocks and letting himself drop. The waterfall gently battered his head and he resurfaced. "You knew how short it was," he said accusingly. "Maybe," she said with a grin. "All right, yes, I just got to the edge where I heard you yell and went back for you." Luckily, luckily I'm not the type to suffer and die in silence, Clay said. But he couldn't help thinking, what would have happened if I hadn't cried out? What if we had missed each other? Come on, the river keeps going this way, Tsunami said. Her webbed feet swooped through the water, shooting her out in front of him. He followed her through the pool into another narrow channel with rocky banks on either side. But he cocked his head, his ears twitched. I think that can't be all the roaring then. Is there more up ahead? There were weird echoes in these caves. He couldn't tell if he was hearing the roar of a small waterfall magnified or if there was something else. Tsunami suddenly spread her wings and spun to a halt, gazing up at the ceiling. Did you see that? Clay squinted into the darkness. Her luminescent scales didn't cast very far, and you couldn't even see the stalactites that were probably up there. No. It was a bat! Tsunami excitedly slammed the river with her tail, submerging Clay into a tidal wave of water. He came gasping for air. A bat? Why are we drowning over Why are we drowning me over a bat? Once a bat had blundered in through in the sky hole, it had flapped pathetically around the study cave until Sunny begged Dune to catch it and set it free. Clay was half convinced that Dune had eaten it instead, but at least he'd done it where Sunny couldn't see him. Because it must have come from somewhere, she said. Bats go outside to hunt. So if bats can get in and get out, I bet we can too. We must be close. Bats are a lot smaller than we are, Clay pointed out, but Tsunami had already started swimming. He flexed his wings under the water, worried. The pain wasn't going away. It felt like tiny, sharp teeth biting him all over, under his scales. Look! Tsunami yelled from ahead. I see light! Clay beat his wings quickly, trying to catch up. It helped that the current was getting faster again. But then the roaring was getting louder too. He came around a bend in the river and saw a circle of silvery light in the distance. The dark outline of Tsunami's head was barreling toward it. Clay couldn't believe his eyes. It was moonlight, just like he'd seen through the sky hole. There was really a way out, and they found it. He was speeding along now, barely using his legs to paddle as the river whisked them toward the light. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoed through the cave, and Tsunami disappeared. Please be another joke, please be another joke, Clay prayed, swimming as fast as he could. The moonlit entrance yawned wide in front of him, and then, abruptly, he shot out into the open space. The river plunged out of the cave, and straight down a tall, sheer cliff. Clay's wings flew open and he banked, catching the air before he fell. He was flying. He was flying! He was flying! Oh! Oh my! Climb the vines! That's so... Guys, climb the vines! Gotta stretch. Voila. Oh boy. I still got some like pearls left I had in my drink. All right. Taking a short drink. Yeah, I need to drink water. I'm quickly seeing how many pages, because there's that many pages left to go for to part 2, or like a section. Let me see. Let me calculate it. I'm good. Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. My throat just needs a little bit of liquid. Also, no, you don't have to call me by my online name. You just call me Taylor. I don't really mind. I don't really care. Eventually, people are gonna know that my name is that. Let me get my water. Or drink, whatever the heck, before we move on. Oh, I was supposed to calculate the thing. 1 second. Actually, wait. Don't need that one. That's just the... We're gonna stop. Okay, 116. We got 35 pages left until, like, the end of the... Oh, gosh, till, like, the end of the part. I think that's gonna be our end goal. We stop there. Also, I was stretching earlier, because I was, like, in one position. I was like, oh, God. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm fine with that. I'm not one of those people that is uncomfortable. I know it's like not the thing to do, and it's like really risky, but it's like I feel like if you're a small channel, it doesn't it's not like a thing, like too much of I don't know. Thanks. It's my real name, actually. The real name my parents gave me. I mean, you see people like telling their real name all the time because it gets like long and winded if you keep saying Inferno, Inferno, Inferno. Like you can call me whatever you want, you know? Yeah, I'm not gonna say my last name unless it's like, you know, if it's like a job, or like my full name needs to be for production kind of a thing. Like that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, I mean that's where it's appropriate, but Taylor is yeah. Yeah, I'm not the type. I'm not Christian. Where like you probably don't know who Christian is, but I'm not like him. Where like he, I know that's like a bad example, but like he's been like for a long time. Especially in his earlier like documentation, he's been like the one of those people that like docs instantly. I'm like, dude. Yeah, Magvy's cool. I'm just trying to make it easier for people just to say Taylor instead of like my full tag name, like Inferno Blaze, because that'd be like really. It doesn't. It takes more energy out of you if you say the full name. You know. Oh my gosh, so hi. I mean, for myself, a lot of people call me Stub, but you're only one person who calls me Rose. You know that, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, because I think you said call you by Rose, right? Unless I'm not mistaken. Like, people can go by many, like, I'm not strict on whatever you call me. If you want to call me Inferno, whatever, that's fine. I'm not strict. I understand that people... listen, I know it's, like, probably not often that people... I know this is a completely different topic now, but, like, I know it's, like, not common you find people that are easygoing. Especially in this day and age, good lord, with all, like, the technology and bullshit like that. It's... excuse me. I'm just want to make sure you're okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, on my freaking, like, servers, like, people I never met in life, but I've met online, like, they call me my real name. I'm just like, you don't have to go... I'm easy going that way. But I was just saying, oh gosh, what was I gonna say now? It's kind of... it's hard to find, like, people that are easygoing, especially, like, who just, like, go with the flow kind of people. That's kind of me. I'm just like, I don't care, just... I'm not strict. I know some people are, and that's totally fine. I mean, that's how they want to do things. But I want to do what I like, my own way. You know what I'm saying? There are limits, though, to some extent. There's some outside of, like, putting names and all that. There's other things I'm easygoing about too, but I'm just like, there's other times where you kind of have to, like, not do that all the time, which that's another thing too. Oh God, what am I saying? Right, I'm just rambling off my ass, but, like, take that as you will. I'm just... oh God, I'm not the greatest at advice. Okay, don't pay attention to me. I just I guess I think college, after graduating college, it's starting to rub off on me. Definitely want to comment. Yeah, I know. Like, I'm just like, I just want to post whatever. I don't go full out, like, clickbait bullshit. I just want to be real. Like, just be real with people. Like, okay, guys, let's actually, like, sit down, have a chill time, and just not be obnoxious. Like, I don't want to be one of those people that, like, you know, especially, like, nowadays with the whole, like, you have to put on, like, a persona thing, like, on yourself. Like, a lot of people do that, where they kind of just fake it, you know? You know what I'm saying? Especially, like, on TikTok or something like that. Like, you know, there's not a lot of people that just sit down and, like, okay. Well, there are some people out there that do it, but, like, dude, like, guys, like, it's nothing wrong, but just being real and being like, being a human for once, like, being an honest human. We all need that nowadays, for sure. And, I guess I'm one of them. I'm sorry. Again, I'm rambling off my ass. Take what you will out of this. Probably not, I'm speaking out of my... Okay. Yeah, I don't have TikTok either. I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm like one of the Lenny. I meant to say lucky Gen Xer. I'm not even... God. Gen Zers, which is my generation, to not, like, have TikTok take over my life. The only, like, social media... the only social media thing right now that's taking over my life is YouTube, but I was a YouTube person years before TikTok was like, big against our generation and the youngins after us. Like, holy shit. Like, I've been watching like videos of I'm glad that people are actually like don't have TikTok. Thank fucking God. Because I've seen like recently I've been seeing videos pop up about like the overconsumerism trend, and like have you seen like those like dumb like trend like and like the Labubu craze and all that shit? I never was a part of that. Oh my God, dude. The youngins, yeah. Yeah, I know. But like what I was talking about is like the overconsumerism bullshit on there is like crazy. Like now there's this trend with like those fucking like bows, those squishy bows and or Neatos or whatever the fuck they are. They like and people are like buying so many of them, and it's like, what are you gonna do with it? I mean, yeah, I collect things myself, but I have a purpose at least. Like I like displaying them, and you know, like I don't know, like there's that trend too. Again, if you like collecting them, that's your thing. That's fine. It's just my complaint. I'm just seeing all these freaking videos about these like dumb squishies. I'm like, why do you need like 50 of them? They're just a sensory freaking toy. Oh, good Lord. Like, look, I have a problem with, you know, collecting myself, and it does feel like it's a lot. But all of it has, I would say, a reason. I am starting to donate most of my old shit that I've had in like, that I have not touched in like 20 fucking years. Or like, not like 20, but like 15. Because they're like, you know, baby's toys that we forgot to take, because my family's been so busy all the time, we never really had the time to go through them. But then after college, I'm just like, I really need to go through my goddamn closet, you know? Yes, I'm talking about the dumpling. Yeah, the bow, not the bun, the bow. I think it is a bow or something. Those dumpling squishy things. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Again, one's like fine. Like if you want to get one, that's completely fair. I mean, Neatos are cool. I mean, but I don't want like 50 fucking of them. Like why? Why would you do that? Like this is the same thing with like, you know, Bath and Body Works, like all these scents and stuff. Like I have that problem too. I love the scents. I just ordered native stuff recently. I know that a lot of people don't like native, but I wanted to get some matching scents for my deodorants. I have that problem. Yeah, the bow bun. Yeah. But I have a lot of like, I have those, but at least it's not like there was like this one video I saw of somebody having like a whole fucking cabinet of Bath and Body Works stuff, like 200 worth of sprays, and like has like candles below it and like fucking lotion. It's like, dude, I don't even have 200 fucking things. Like, like I try to at least, I don't know, use them. And if you want to keep the packaging, just take the fucking sticker off if you can. Like, that's what I'm doing with my old stuff. Like, I have a scrapbook of me sticking, like, old, like, packaging. Like, you can take off the stickers of Bath & Body onto the freaking, the book, and it stays there. And it's a scrapbook. Like, and I even date them. Like, put the dates on when they're manufactured. And you know how you tell them when they're manufactured? The barcode on the bottom. You have to look those up because I think there's a specific way to do them, but those are also fun too. Yeah. Oh God, people crash out when they open up the dumpling squishy. I know. They're so ungrateful. People like, I don't want this one. This is not the glittery one. I'm like, okay, then like give it to somebody else that would want it instead of just like throwing it back, or maybe use the container that comes with it for something. That's what I would have done. I would have used the container. You know, like optimize what you have, what you paid for. Like, yo, this is great. Like, guys, it's not that deep. Especially when aren't those things are made for. Yeah, I know. These are like full blown adults, even parents too, that are trying to get like so many. Oh my gosh, so many like these things, and it's like, dude, they're kids' toys. And the plastic on them, too, are not great either. And eventually all this is gonna end up like in a landfill, which is not great for the environment. And it's just like, oh, dude. Y'all. I used to have a super cluttered room and closet. It feels so nice. I know. I've been starting to do that, actually. I have moved a few things. I put a few things in my closet. I took some stuff out. There's a little corner that still needs to be organized, but mainly in one corner, like all my school stuff, like from high school and middle school and not college yet, but since I don't have my materials here, I had to fly them back. They're all the way in Florida, but all of like my school like all that stuff is on the top shelf of my closet, and there's other things. I have like still got my childhood toys with me still. So, some of them. I got my like, you know those like little dog toys, those cat toys, and like the Schleich, what do they call them? The Safari LTD stuff, and like amongst other things. That's what I have, like a collection in a basket. And I got like my old little My Little Pony figurines in a basket, and then I have like an Angry Birds basket, a Sonic collection basket, like, you know, stuff that I like collecting, and it's in there, you know. And I have like Funkos and stuff. I'm ashamed to say that. I know people hate those things, but but like I have so many if I could show a picture right now. But yeah, but they're all for display reasons. It's not like they're gonna. I'm a fan of Legos too. I've built those as well. Those are fun too. But it's not like I'm gonna leave them to just, you know. I even have like a fucking keychain collection in a fucking box. It's actually sitting underneath my Critical Role Matt Mercer signature. It's actually there. The photo's sitting on top of it. But oh man, sorry for the crash out. I don't normally do that. I'm not like one of those channels that does that like for every, I don't know, single of their videos. But you know, I had to talk about something, you know. Quickly. Okay. I just see some shampoo and stuff. I'm gonna clutter this room this weekend. Oh, cool, Mag. You're gonna clutter. Yeah, people are insane with these random. I know. Like first, like I remember like the Stanley Cups being a thing, and then like Labubus, and then like now it's these fucking dumpling bullshit. I guess you agree with me. I know, people are so ungrateful. It makes me happy though. There are some clips out there of like kids like actually being grateful, and I'm like, that's so sweet. I'm so happy that still exists. You know? Yeah, the sets are cool. Like Legos, yeah, Legos are cool. I have a Las Vegas set behind me on my windowsill, like a little mini city Vegas one. That's like one of the Legos I really liked. I have a San Francisco one. I have a couple. I have an X-wing from Star Wars, and I have a like a miniature Millennium Falcon, a plane. What else I got? I got like a miniature Wally. I got like a whole like Wally collection up on my bookshelf. And then I have what else Lego things I have? I'm hoping to get like an R2D2 because uh I have an R2D2 collection in my room too. I also built another Wally set, but it's in a box. It's got to be shipped or got to be drove over here because my parents are driving a car all the way across country to back to Oregon. So from Florida, so they're gonna have to bring some stuff that I wasn't able to bring on the plane when I was flying back. And then I have a Back to the Future DeLorean. I built that. That's kind of like a big set. Not exact. Yeah, also the prices for Legos, yeah, they kind of do suck, which is a shame. Oh, the Stanley Cup thing was kind of scary. It really, yeah, I know that shit was. Every time I hear Stanley Cups, I think of the freaking Haka Trophy. Sometimes I crash out for video games in my channel, but I don't often crash out. I don't often crash out either. I just don't have the space or time to build a lot of guns I have. Yeah, I understand that. There's also that part too. And people are also, that's also another overconsumerism thing, is the, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. Well, I guess I'm gonna probably think of it later. But yeah, in my room, I have this, like, art corner. I dedicated, like, you know, sketchbooks, boxes of, like, old-ass art that I made over the years into this one corner that, you know, is nice to have because I have my art supplies and stuff in that one space. I had, like, I have, like, little minute, like, cutouts when I was in high school. God, my old MCSM art. That's gotta be, like, another, like, live stream for another day, when we look at old art and shit like that. But I was thinking, I did say this on my Discord, yeah, where I said, like, I wanted to go through my old art, like, anything I could pick up from my old binders, and, like, and see what I can, like, comic dub, essentially, but, like, me voicing them, like, it would be really funny. But we're talking, this is a Wings of Fire stream, this is not a fucking MCSM stream. I could talk about MCSM all I want to. If I could talk about story mode for hours. The documentary is even scratching the fucking surface of how deep this fucking game I can talk about. Like, it's so funny. I have art mate that I made since grade 3 and it's so crappy. Yeah, I know. Well, to us it was great because, you know, when you're a kid. Sorry, friend is currently texting me right now. The joys of elementary grade art. Yeah, I know, right? Dude, I love it. I love Wings of Fire as well. Yeah, and especially yourself. You can even be overly critically of your old self. Like, you know? That's another thing, too. Okay, we're on chapter 9. So we got, like, 35 pages left to go. If we want to get to the next, like, stop to the next part to leave off a cliffhanger sort of thing. So, okay. Clay had, hang on, I'm checking my other thing real quick. Okay. Clay had flown before, short hops around the caves, dodging the stalactites and flapping in circles, but that there was nothing compared to this. Everything was so big. The sky was everywhere. It just went on and on and on, like nothing could ever fill it up. It was night, but the light of the 3 moons was dazzling after a lifetime of caves and spluttering torches. Craggy mountain peaks bit into the sky all around him. In the distance he thought he saw a glimmer of sea. And the stars! Clay had thought he knew stars from gazing out of the sky hole. He'd never known how many there were, or how they looked like a silver net cast across the dark. He felt like he could keep flying up and up forever. all the way to the moons. He wondered if any dragon had ever tried to do that. This is what we've been missing all this time. Even the sharp lines of pain between his scales couldn't take away his excitement. "Can you believe this?" he called, spinning in the air. "Tsunami, isn't it amazing?" There was no answer. Clay lashed his tail to stop spinning and hovered, his eyes darting around the sky. Maybe he couldn't see Tsunami anywhere. She wouldn't have flown off without him, would she? Maybe she's seen the faraway sea. Maybe she saw her home and couldn't resist. Clay knew he wouldn't abandon her friends. Clay knew she wouldn't abandon her friends, but he also knew how desperately she wanted to return to the ocean. He glanced down toward the horizon and spotted her, far below him, flapping in frantic downward spiral. Something was wrong. It looked like only one of her wings was working. Clay twisted into a dive and barreled toward her. He tucked his wings close to his body, fighting back the terror as he plummeted. Wind whistled past his face. Wind! He had imagined it all wrong. It was like a live thing, grabbing his tail to throw him off balance, whisking in his eyes to blind him, flaring under his wings to slow him down. It seemed to dig icicle-sharp claws into his skin, slicing under his scales. The waterfall and the cliff shot past at lightning speed. Was he falling too fast? The ground hurled toward him. Shadows and moonlight mixed in shapes he'd never seen and couldn't understand. He had no idea how far it was or how soon he would reach it. He'd never dealt with distances like this before. Would he be able to stop? Would it hurt when he did? But he could see Tsunami below him, still struggling, so he knew that he hadn't hit the bottom yet, and that made him braver. He fell and fell and fell, and she got closer and closer until Clay passed her and instantly flared his wings open. His body slammed upright like he run into a wall, and then a moment later he was whammed again, this time by heavy sea wing landing on him from above. He tumbled, nearly losing Tsunami over his head, but they caught onto each other with their talons and held tight. With their claws wrapped fiercely around his neck, Clay battled to stay aloft, beating his wings in wide arcs. He wasn't strong enough to lift her, but at least he could slow her fall. Tsunami let out a yelp, and then Clay felt something like claws snag at his wings and tail. They lost their hold on each other as they fell through the trees, smashing branches and ripping off leaves before they thudded to the earth. It only took Clay a moment before he could breathe again. Tsunami's tail was flapped across his snout. He pushed it aside and sat up, creaking with pain. Tsunami rolled over onto her back, letting her wings flop out to either side. Close up, Clay could see that he was right. One of her azure blue wings was crooked, as if it were been wrenched out of her shoulder. He touched it with one claw, and they both winced. "What happened?" Clay asked. "Getting out of the chains," Tsunami said. "I think it dislocated it." And you came after me anyway?" Clay said, appalled. "Why did you tell me you were hurt?" She shrugged and winced again. "It didn't hurt so much in the river, but once I tried to fly..." "Dirt!" Clay yelled suddenly. "I'm standing on dirt!" He grabbed his claws into the ground and sank right into the earth. A thrill ran through him from snout to tail. Tsunami sat up to look at him. "Yay?" she said. "It's amazing!" he cried. "Feel how soft it is!" He seized a handful of dirt and flung it at her. "Hey, quit that!" she protested, defending herself with her good wing. Clay flattened himself into the grass, feeling the warm earth crumble around his legs and clump against his scales. Sense of green and brown buried sunshine overwhelmed him. It was nothing like the hard, cold, bare rock under the mountain. The ground here was welcoming and full of life. A worm sprawled past his nose, and he snapped it up. "Well, now that we're even," Tsunami said. "I saved you. You saved..." "I hear the river!" Clay cried, jumping up and shaking himself. Tsunami ducked the shower of dirt that flew off of him. "River plus dirt means mud!" He spun around and raced through the trees toward the sound of bubbling water. Clay has ADHD, guys. Like, he has ADHD! Tsunami found him rolling blissfully in the muddy banks of the river. "I don't think most dragons get this excited about being so dirty," she said warily. I bet my kind do, Clay said, ignoring her sarcasm. I've never been this warm in my whole life. For the first time ever, his claws didn't ache, his scales didn't itch, his wings didn't feel too dry, and he wasn't worried about scrubbing his talons every other step. He felt the mud squelch into the gaps in between his scales and realized that the pain from the cave poisoning was fading, as if the mud was healing him. He sighed happily, squishing himself farther down into the damp riverbank. Wow, Tsunami said. She shook her front talons in the river. And we're not even at the Mudwing swamps yet. I wonder if I'll be this excited when I get to the sea. You will, Clay said, suddenly feeling certain and brave and confident. And when you can fly, we can fix your wing? He tilted his head, studying her injury. The waterfall rolled down a cliff that towered over them, with even higher mountains beyond. The 3 moons were low in the sky. Clay guessed it would be morning soon, and they could look out for the smoke signal that would lead to their friends. But Tsunami couldn't fly, and she'd be stuck down here. Easy pickings for any hostile dragons flying by. Clay glanced up at the sky, remembering that they popped out into a world at war. It seemed so peaceful here. From the way big dragons talked, he'd imagined that the entire world was a giant battlefield. It was strange to be in a quiet clearing with no signs of war or even sights or sounds of war, not even dragons anywhere nearby. But he knew that the Talons of Peace, and by extension the Dragonets, had enemies everywhere. The 3 Sandwing Queens distrusted the prophecy and would kill anyone who got in their way. And there was a whole list of dragons who might do terrible things to the Dragonets of Destiny, if they ever found them. Tsunami twisted to look at her dislocated wing. I'm sure we can fix it, she said. I saw this in a scroll once. It just needs to be banged back into place. Maybe if I run myself into a tree. She glanced around at the forest and then suddenly charged at the nearest solid tree trunk. Clay leaped out of the mud and pounced on her tail, yanking her back before she crashed. Ow! Tsunami stormed. Get off! I can fix it! This will work! She snapped at her teeth at him. Stop being a grumpy skywing. Smashing yourself into a tree is a terrible plan, Clay said. Can I look at it? Tsunami settled down on the grass, grumbling with her wings spread out. Clay circled her and then stood back and looked at the uneven line of her wings and shoulders. If you can stay still, he said, I think I can shove it back into place. Is that a good idea? Tsunami asked, flinching away from him. Better than running into a tree, he pointed out. Dig your claws in and brace yourself. He's like a 5-year-old. Well, they are dragonets, so they're technically like teenagers? Question mark? Let me look that up, actually. Let's see. Human years. The Wings of Fire, a 7-year-old dragonet is considered to be, I think they're 6? Something like that. They are, it's roughly equivalent to a 17 to 18-year-old human being. Okay. So like late teens. That checks out. Like they're still... So basically, you know, out of the woodwork. Yeah, 6 years in dragonet years. Tsunami clutched the ground and closed her eyes. Clay felt gently along her shoulder with front talons. It was easy. It was easy to find the spot where a bone had slipped out of its socket. He touched it lightly until he was sure where it was and where it needed to be. Then he grabbed and shoved the bone into place in one quick, strong movement. Ow! Tsunami roared, rearing back. Her powerful tail whipped around and slammed Clay into a thicket of prickly bushes. I'm sorry! Clay yelped, floundering free. I really thought that would work. He stopped. Tsunami was turning in a circle, flexing and extending both wings. They looked perfectly matched again. It did work, she said. It's a little sore, but I can move it now. Pretty fierce, Clay. She helped disentangle his tail from the branches. Sorry I whacked you. Clay opened his mouth to respond, but Tsunami suddenly seized his snout and held it shut. She raised one talon, her ears twitching. What's that? She whispered. Clay tried to swivel his head around, but Tsunami's grip was too tight. He strained his ears to listen. Something was crashing through the forest toward him. Toward them. Oh no. Man, how did how did them handle these 5 when they hatched? I don't know, man. That's like just I have no idea. Chapter 10. Not enough to be a dragon, Tsunami whispered. Now Clay could hear a huffling, panting sound in the crackling of branches. It sounded more prey than predator. He pried Tsunami's claws off his snout and whispered, Maybe we can eat it. They couldn't rescue the other dragonettes until sunrise anyway, and he wanted to test his hunting skills outside the caves. A short, pale creature stumbled to the moonlit clearing in front of them. The top of its hairy head was barely as high as Clay's shoulder. It had 2 long, thin legs and 2 dangling arms that ended up in floppy, clawless talons. One arm held something pointy, like a giant dragon's claw, and the other was wrapped around a bulky sack. It spotted Tsunami and Clay, dropped everything it was holding, and shrieked a long, pitched note, like the birds Clay had sometimes heard through the sky hole. It's a scavenger! Tsunami cried with delight. Look, Clay, our first time outside, we're already seeing a real live scavenger! It's so little, Clay said. And look, it's scavenging something right now. He reached out to poke the bulky sack. The creature screamed again, backing away and covering its head with its arms. I thought they would be scarier, Tsunami said, disappointed. She lowered her snout to peer at it. One of these things killed Queen Oasis? Really? She picked up the metal claw it had been carrying, which was about 4 times as long as a regular dragon claw. I guess these are pretty sharp, but still, it must have been some kind of unlucky accident. Can we eat it? Clay asked, his tongue flicked out in. Starflight says they're endangered, Tsunami said. But I say it's their fault we're all in this war, so eat as many as you like. She swung the claw in a circle and glared down at the scavenger. The scavenger was gibbering strange noises at them, waving its arms like the sack and the claw. Some of its movements are almost like dragon-like, as if we're trying to communicate with them. Maybe it wants us to have whatever's in there, Clay said, lifting the sack. He apprehended it, and a pile of jewels and trinkets tumbled out, bouncing and sparkling across the grass. Clay saw 3 large rubies and scattering of white diamonds along the gold shapes. Treasure! Tsunami cried. She picked up a silver metal lion with a spiral carved into it, strutted with tiny sapphires. Lori would love that, Clay said. So would I, Tsunami said. I know you like bringing her pretty things to cheer her up, but I saw this first. All right, Clay said diplomatically. Maybe something else then. Can we keep all this treasure? Certainly not. A new voice. Not unless you want to fight me for it, which I won't advise. An orange skywing dragon, slightly bigger than Clay, landed soundlessly in the clearing behind the scavenger. Wreaths of smoke coiled around her horns. As the scavenger shrieked again, she bent down and bit off his head. Oh, shit. Bye, I guess. Blech, she said, spitting it out again immediately. The head bounced across the grass, and the body slowly toppled over, blood pouring out of its neck. Now, that's just unfair, said the orange dragon. First of all, thieves are always trying to steal my beautiful treasure, and then they aren't even delicious when I catch them. She poked the body, all stringy and tasting like fish. Oh, wait. All stringy and tasting like fish. Yuck. Clay took a step back from the spreading pool of blood. He didn't feel hungry anymore. Who are you? Tsunami asked. She was turning the medallion over her between her claws as if she wondered whether it might be worth fighting for. The yellow... Gosh, not the yellow. The orange dragon stared at her, her yellow eyes narrowing into slits. Clay noticed that the fine coat of golden chain mail hung out with rubies and amber drops was fitted around the dragon's torso. A row of tiny rubies was embedded between the scales and over each her eyes, and more rubies edged on the top of her wings. Whoever she was, she had a lot of treasure, which meant she must be important. "You don't know who I am?" the strange dragon said. "How upsetting. I'm really, really hurt. Either I need to get out more or you're not a very good spy. Are you, Seawing?" "I'm not a spy," Tsunami said. "We don't even know where we are. We've been held prisoner, kind of, and we just escaped." The orange dragon tilted her head at Clay. "A Seawing and a Mudwing together," she said. "Let's see. I know you're not from my dungeons unless I'm getting horribly forgetful. So who was holding you? Blaze? I don't think she has prison camps. It wouldn't fit with her love me act. Everybody love me act." Clay took another step back. He didn't like the sound of a dragon who had her own dungeons. "Tsunami," he said quietly, "let's just give her back her treasure. Let's go." "A Mudwing using his head," said the orange dragon. "You don't see that very often." She slid menacingly towards Tsunami and stepping right through the scavenger's blood and leaving red claw prints on the grass. Small flames flickered in her nostrils, and a steady hum of white smoke poured out and gathered more thickly around her horns. "All right," Tsunami said, holding out the medallion. "We don't want any trouble." "Oh, neither do I," said the orange dragon. "That's why it makes me so sad when trouble keeps coming to me." She reached out and grabbed Tsunami's talon with the medallion still in it, squeezing hard. Clay started forward, but the strange dragon shot a bolt of flame at him, so he had to duck back. She glared at Tsunami. "Nobody touches my treasure." "We didn't know!" "We didn't know!" Tsunami protested. "We don't even know who you are!" Oh, the dragon hissed. "Didn't I say? My name is Scarlet, but I highly recommend you call me Your Majesty if you want to live." Clay inhaled sharply. Even he recognized that name. They were standing face to face with the Queen of the Skywings. Ooh, they were in trouble! I love how, again, the "nobody touches my treasure" reminds me of the Epic the Musical. No one beats me. No one beats my gay. Oh my gosh. We're in some hard times now. Yeah, these chapters go by pretty quick. I'm gonna at least get to part 2, which I'm at page 94, and the end of this part would be 116, so we're pretty close enough. Yeah, Scarlet's great, dude. Scarlet's awesome. She was smaller than he had expected, smaller than Kestrel, but Clay knew they shouldn't underestimate the Skywing Queen. She held on to her power for 30 years, despite 14 brave, foolish, extremely dead now challengers. She was one of the longest-lived and deadliest queens in Pyria, not to mention one of the worst possible dragons to get her claws on the Dragonets of Destiny, especially when she was allied with Byrne, who hated the prophecy and had destroyed the Skywing egg 6 years ago. Clay tried to remember anything else they'd learned about Scarlet. All he could think was scary. Queen Scarlet let go of Tsunami's talons and slipped the medallion over her own neck. She turned and ran one claw down Clay's snout. "Now you, Mudwing, make me curious. We're on the same side, so why didn't you recognize me?" "Like I said," Tsunami started, and Queen Scarlet silenced her with a flick of her tail. "I like to hear the Mudwing speak," she said, all rumbly and deep and nervous. Clay stammered. "We've been underground a while and kind of always..." Tsunami made a face at behind the queen's back, which he guessed meant he shouldn't give too much away. But what was he supposed to say? He glanced up at the mountains looming overhead and realized that they were outlined with a golden glow. The sun was coming up. They needed to go rescue their friends, and fast, before Kestrel took out her anger on the dragonets she could find. "We're just passing through," he said to Queen Scarlet. The rows of rubies over the queen's eyes arched disbelievingly. "I mean, it was an honor to meet. It was very, terrifying was the only word he could think of. "We have to go," he blurted. "Already?" said the queen. "But that's heartbreaking. I hate being abandoned mid-conversation, and there's so much more I want to know about you." She brushed the tip of her claw among the bottom of Clay's chin. "I think the only place you should go is back to my palace in the sky. Doesn't that sound thrilling? Don't say no, it would hurt my feelings. You're just what I've been looking for." Clay had no idea what that meant, but he was too petrified to respond anyway. He stared up into her unfriendly amber eyes, thinking for the first time in his life that maybe Kestrel was right about everything. Most especially about staying under the mountain and avoiding all the bad dragons out in the world. Behind Scarlet, Tsunami raised the scavenger's sharp claw. Her eyes met Clay's. He felt the same chilling fear when he must be feeling. If they attacked the Skywing Queen, they instantly have a new powerful enemy who hated them. But they couldn't tell her the truth about themselves. She'd take them captive or sell them to her ally Burn or kill them just to mess with the prophecy. And they couldn't go with her either. They had to get back to their friends. He nodded slightly. "Do it. We have no choice." Tsunami stabbed the claw between Queen Scarlet's tail at the vulnerable spot, driving it straight into the ground beneath. The queen roared with fury and pain, and she whipped her head around and blasted fire in all directions. "Fly!" Tsunami yelled. She rolled under the flames and covered Clay's tail. She spread his wings and bolted into the sky with Queen Scarlet's fire scorching his claws. Tsunami flapped beside him, her wing beats wobbly but determined. "It won't take her long to get free," Tsunami called. "Quick, we have to lose her in the peaks." She soared up into the cliff and Clay followed. They flew past the top of the waterfall where the river flowed out of a hole into the cliff. They flew up and up until they reached the top and whooshed out to a rocky plateau studded with dark green trees and bushes. Even up here, the mountains loomed over them, impossibly high and unbearably big. The peaks zigzagged into the north and south like a crooked dragon teeth. A jagged row went on and on. The bigness of everything kept overwhelming Clay. How would they ever find their friends again in all of this? And even if they did, what could 5 dragonets do to save a world this big? Tsunami led the way, staying low and swooping around the trees, diving into chasms where they found them. Her wings' beats were getting stronger as she flew. Sunlight spread through the mountains, dazzling Clay's eyes. He wasn't used to so much brightness, and this was the only dawn. The ferocity of the midday sun was still ahead. "Here!" Tsunami called, jerking her head toward a dent in the side of the mountain. They spiraled down to land on the ledge outside a small cave. From here they could only look over the rocky plateau, with valleys and mountain peaks spread out among them. Clay peered down nervously. The roar of the waterfall was a faint rumble in the distance. There was no sign of Queen Scarlet. "I can't believe you did that," he said to Tsunami. "I had to, didn't I?" she asked, but without her usual conviction. She scratched her gills, looking worried, then slipped into the shadows of the cave to check it was empty. Clay wanted to reassure her, but he was worried too. He closed his eyes and turned his face toward the rising sun. The heat soaked down through his scales, until even his bones felt warm at last. "You should see yourself. You should see yourself," Tsunami said from the cave. "You're practically glowing. I didn't know mudwings had so many colors in them." Clay opened his eyes and glanced down. He always thought of himself as just plain brown scales, ordinary brown claws, the color of flat mud from horns to tail, but now, in the full sunlight for the first time, he could see gold and amber glints between and beneath his scales. Even the brown seemed richer and deeper, like the mahogany trunk where webs kept the most delicate scrolls. "Huh," he said. "You're so pretty," Tsunami joked, emerging into the light. Clay had to bite back a gasp. While the sun brought out his colors, it made It made her look bejeweled, like a dragon made of sapphires and emeralds, or summer leaves and oceans. He thought of Glory and how beautiful she already was in the gloomy caves. She thought of Glory and how beautiful she was already in the gloomy caves. None of them would be able to look at her in full sunlight, or else they would be too dazzled to ever speak to her again. Glory. Clay squinted out at the mountainside. There were crags and holes and rocky croppings that might lead to tunnels everywhere. He had no idea what the outside of their home looked like. They could see a lot of the mountain from here, but no smoke signal yet. The sun had nearly cleared the horizon now, climbing up slowly up the sky and chasing away the 3 moons. Clay saw several red shapes flitting around the distant mountain peaks. At first he thought they were birds, until he spotted fire flickering around them like lightning, and realized that they were dragons. This was definitely Skywing territory. Starflight was right about where their secret cave was, but Clay had no idea they had escaped the mountains, that now the Skywing Queen was probably hunting them in a towering rage. Tsunami seized his shoulder. "Over there!" she cried. A thin column of smoke was starting to rise from a hole partway down the slope. Clay flung himself into the air and swooped over the hole. It was enclosed and partly hidden by a thicket of branches, so he couldn't land next to it. But it was open to the sky and looked like a shape of the sky hole to him. It had to be his friends. Tsunami swept up beside him. They both hovered around the smoke, trying to peer down into the hole. "Starflight and Sunny must be right there," Clay said. "Right below us!" The smoke smelled of old paper. He felt a twinge of pity for Starflight, burning some of his beloved scrolls. "So we're close, but we have to find the entrance," Tsunami said. "The tunnel must come out somewhere nearby." She spiraled down to the rocky ground inside the bushes, and she started pacing as if she was trying to count off the distance from the study room to the entrance tunnel. Clay stayed up in the air, circling. He had the same funny feeling he had looking at Tsunami's crooked wing, that if he relaxed and just looked, he could see how things could fit together. He walked the caves under a mountain a million times. He knew them better than his own claws. He could hear the faint roar of the waterfall, so he could guess which way the underground river flowed. He pictured the tunnel from the study cave into the central hall and mapped it out on the craggy rocks below. "Here," he called to Tsunami, swooping down to land. "The boulder blocking the exit should be right below here, so the tunnel to the outside would go that way." He turned to look. "The ravine," Tsunami said. A crevice cut through the rocks like a short distance away. When they peered down into it, they could see a stream running over pebbly gravel and sandy mud. "The entrance must be down there somewhere." Clay hopped down to the bottom of the ravine, keeping his wings spread to slow his fall. Mud squelched between his talons as he landed. He felt a wave of anger wash over him. There was mud and sunlight and warm fresh air this close to their cave. Why hadn't the Guardians ever brought the Dragonettes outside? Even small trips to this ravine could have made life so different. He knew they say it was for safety. They'd say it was to protect the Dragonettes, in case this distant Skywing spotted them. But Clay guessed it was really because the Guardians didn't trust him and his friends. They didn't trust him not to fly away. They didn't trust him to act smart and avoid drawing attention to themselves. He dug sharp gashes in the mud with his claws. The Dragonettes had never even had the chance to be trustworthy. Maybe Clay didn't deserve it after attacking the others at hatching. Maybe the Guardians thought that something inside him might snap at any moment. But there was no reason to have kept Sunny and Glory and Starflight and Tsunami in the dark all these years. Tsunami thumbed down beside him and nodded at a mossy pile of boulders ahead. "Let's check there first." They squished and splashed down the stream. Clay spotted something in the mud in front of them. He flared his wings up to stop Tsunami from going any further. "Look," he said, not dragon eggs, dragon tracks!" "Look," he said, "dragon tracks!" Fresh dragon prints were stamped into the riverbank with a deep line of tail dragged behind them. They disappeared suddenly if the dragon had lifted off into the sky. Clay gingerly fit one of his own feet into a print. It was dwarfed by the size of the other dragon's talons. "If it came from our cave," Tsunami said, "and I'm sure it did, Then it must be Kestrel. How do you know? Clay asked. Tsunami put her own foot down next to one of the prints. No webs between the claws, she said. So it's not a sea wing. They're too recent to be Marseers. They're too recent to be Marseers from yesterday. And you can see all four here, so it's not Dune. Oh, Clay said, feeling foolish. Of course. There are prints leaving, but not coming back, Tsunami said, her voice rising with excitement. Maybe she went looking out for us this morning. If she's still away, this is our best chance to get the others out. She started running down the riverbank, following the line of prints where it began. Come on, Clay, hurry! Clay raced after her. The tracks led right to the tumble of boulders, and when they climbed up to the large rocks, they could see down the dark tunnel in the side of the ravine. It was almost entirely hidden from view unless you looked from the right angle. This is it, Tsunami whispered. Why didn't she hide her tracks better? Clay worried. What if it's a trap? It's not, Tsunami said confidently. Kestrel doesn't know we're coming back for the others. She doesn't think like that. If she were one of us, she'd escape and leave everyone else behind without a second thought. That sounded true to Clay. Kestrel never believed that dragons would keep their word or care about other dragons. She was in a hurry to find us, that's all, Tsunami pointed out. Clay glanced up at the sky nervously. If Kestrel hadn't bothered to be cautious, she must be really angry with them. Tsunami lowered herself into the tunnel. Clay slid down beside her. He was warm enough now to make fire, so he breathed a small burst of flame to give him a glimpse of the tunnel ahead. They edged forward as Tsunami's scales began to glow. The tunnel took a sharp right, then a left, then went down a steep angle for a few steps. But soon as it straightened out, took them around another corner and ended at an enormous gray boulder. Clay's heart thumped hard in his chest. They'd really found it. He was looking at his prison from the outside. Ooh, we're getting good. Let's see. Gesture for you. Yeah. Oh, man. You mean Jetra, you mean? I think that's the female. Ah! I think Fallout. My bookmark. My Top Gun bookmark. I was really into it. But if we're not done with it, folks. We got about how many pages? We're at 104, and we're trying to get to 116. So do the math. Wait a second. I am current. Let me do the math here quickly. 116 minus 1. 12. We can make it. We can make it with 12. And that's where we can pause, because it lives off like next part or something like that. Really quickly, I'm gonna take a small break. I gotta text somebody back. So talk amongst yourselves. Okay, I'm gonna quickly take a call. I'll be right back, you guys. I'm so sorry, but at least I'm taking it slow. Okay, guys. I'm back. I'm so sorry. That took way longer than I expected. I was currently planning summer trips and all that. We were gonna go to the air show, but we might turn out going to Vegas instead because going to EAA from Oregon is like that's a lot of fucking traveling, and considering on top of that you have like oh gosh, like them driving my poor parents driving back cross country from Florida, and it tires you out, so I don't blame them. And I'm easy going like that. I'm just like, okay, well, don't worry about it. And plus my friend's brother, yeah, my brother's my friend's little brother's birthday is like conflicting with dates, or like, why not get EAA next time or next year or whatever, which is better for both of us, thank goodness. So now I'm gonna read the last few pages of this, and then we're gonna end the stream so I don't keep you guys fucking forever. I have to see the comments. Okay. Who doesn't who doesn't like Mondays, bro? Ooh, a fourth person joined. I want to know. Oh, they left. Oh man, that sucks. All right. Who's all here? Let's do a roll call. Who's all here? Well, it's kind of delayed, so I'm probably gonna not get much fast responses, but that's okay. Hi Stella. How's it going? I know Magby's here because she loves my streams. she's always right in front and center. I don't know where Soph is. I think she went to get water. I think I just got that. I don't want to like read without her, but she knows the series enough, I think. So I don't want to keep waiting if like. Okay, let's finish this little bit then. So we're at chapter 12 currently. So now we read up on her back legs and begin running her talons along the walls. Look for something that will move the boulder, she said. Clay breathed another burst of fire at the wall on his side. It looked like an ordinary flat stone with some few fissures running from the ceiling into the floor. Hey, Soph, we just started reading chapter 12. He scraped his claws through the cracks. Nothing happened except his claws tingled painfully. He tried sniffing around the boulder and then shoved it, but it wouldn't move any more than it had on the other side. I hope Starflight's right, he said, pushing away the sinking feeling in his stomach. I hope we can reopen it from this side. I hope we really can open it from this side. We can, Tsunami said fiercely. It'll be a lever or something. It'll be a lever or something. She backed away from a few steps, peering up at the top of the boulder. Or magic, Clay said. What if it's a magic word, or some kind of talisman we don't have? Tsunami stared at the boulder for a moment, frowning, then shook her head. They needed an animus dragon to enchant it. Who even knows if those ever existed in the first place? The only thing Clay remembered about the lesson on magic and animus dragons was that they had power over objects. He remembered that because Starflight spent the rest of the day sticking his nose in the air and insisting that Nightwings were far more magically powerful than any mythical animus dragons. If they're so great, why do the Nightwings live somewhere mysterious where no one can find them? Clay had asked. Easy, Starflight had said loftily. It's because we have all these special powers, and we don't want to make irregular dragons feel inferior. Even though they are, his expression implied. Clay snorted. Special powers like what? He asked. You know, Starflight had answered, irritated. Telepathy? Precognition? Invisibility? Hello? You don't have an invisibility, Clay had argued. I mean, you're a black dragon. You're just hard to see in the shadows. That's not a power. I'd be invisible too, if I were lying in a mud puddle. Yeah, well, Starflight had said, we can appear out of nowhere in the dark at we can appear out of nowhere in the dark of night, swooping down as if the sky had just fallen on you. He spread his wings majestically. Still not a power, Clay had said. That's just you guys being creepy. It is not creepy, Starflight had cried, his voice raising. It's magnificent and imposing. He stopped and taken a deep breath. Besides, we're the only ones with visions of the future, so there. Well, I say until the Nightwings come down off the clouds, all we have is rumors and mumbo-jumbo prophecy that could mean anything. Then Clay had draped his nose on the rim of the ledge and peered across at Starflight. I mean, it's not like you've got any special mind powers or any other than being way too smart. Well, I'll have powers eventually, Starflight had huffed. Maybe it's something Skywings. Maybe it's something Nightwings develop when we're older. You're supposed to be studying, not making fun of me. I wasn't making fun, Clay had protested. It was true he had been trying to distract Starflight from studying. Though. But of course, that never worked for long. Now Clay scraped at the floor under the boulder. He actually missed Starflight. More than that, he was worried about him. How had Kestrel reacted if she couldn't find Clay, Tsunami, or Glory? She wouldn't hurt Starflight or Sunny, would she? Suddenly his claws caught on something. He flattened himself to the stone floor and peered underneath the boulder. A long, sturdy stick was jammed underneath the rock, holding it in place. Here, he said. He whispered to Tsunami. He wrapped his talons around the stick and tried to yank it free. After a few tries, he realized it wouldn't come loose, but it did move from side to side. He tried sliding it sideways, and the boulder began to roll. He stopped quickly and looked at Tsunami. What if Webs and Dune are looking for us? Clay asked. They can't stop us, not all 5 of us. Not if we give all fight. The only way they can keep us in is by blocking the way out. Once it's open, we'll... Oh, wait. Wrong voice. They can't stop us, not all 5 of us. Not if we all fight. The only way they kept us in was blocking the way out. Once it's open, we'll all be free. Tsunami let out a long breath. All right, Clay said, gritting his teeth. Let's do this. He shoved the stick as hard as he could. The boulder slowly rolled aside with a soft scraping sound. The central cave came into view, and a shiver ran along Clay's tail at how strange it looked from the outside. A forlorn little shape was huddled by the river, trailing her talons in the water. She turned as the boulder moved. Her gray-green eyes went wide. Shh! Tsunami hissed quietly, bounding across the cave toward her. Sunny leaped up at the same moment she threw her wings open. She pressed her front talons to her snout, beaming. You did it! She whispered. Clay glanced at the tunnel that led to the Guardian's cave, even when Tsunami was right when Webs and Dune couldn't stop them. He didn't want to stick around and find out. Where are the others? He asked quietly. I'll get Starflight, Sunny said, heading for the study cave. Glory, I don't know. She glanced up at the stalactites. Oh my god, that word again. Clay felt it's like the poplars again. Clay felt a stab of worry. Was Glory all right? What if something had happened to her while she was camouflaged? My mic almost fell over. Would she have stayed invisible? What if she had fallen off a stalagmite or flown into an outcropping and hurt herself? What if... Right here, a voice whispered. Right here, a voice whispered in his ear. Soft wings brushed his, and Glory's long shape shimmered into view. Her scales shifted from gray to black to a warm golden orange flecked with dark blue. You're all right, Clay said. In his relief, he twined his tail around hers without thinking. She tensed, but she didn't pull away immediately like she normally would. Instead, she nudged him with her elegant snout. course I am, she said. I would have been fine on my own, you know. Perhaps she felt his big wings droop because she added, but thank you for doing this insanely dangerous things for me anyway. Anytime. Anytime, Clay said happily. Glory stepped back and nodded where Starflight was, staggering out of the tunnel from the study cave. Kestrel was pretty furious, she said. I just had to listen to her from my hiding place. Those two got the blunt of it. Clay started forward, but Tsunami and Sunny were already on either side of Starflight. For a horrible moment, he thought Starflight was limping, that he had been beaten or burned by, or terribly injured by Kestrel. Then he realized that Starflight was moving oddly because he was carrying a giant sack of scrolls on his back. Oh, no, you don't, Tsunami said, pulling away from him. We don't need these, and you've already read them 1,000 times. We might need them, Starflight protested, yanking it back. They tell us what's safe to eat and all the different tribal customs and how to fly in bad weather, and you can tell us all these, though. You can tell us all those things, Clay said. You're going to anyway. But what if I forget something important? Starflight fretted. Ha! That's the wrong ha. Ha! You'd be a lot more likable if you ever did forget anything, Glory said. The only thing that's important is getting out of here right now, before Webbs and Dune wake up. And before Kestrel comes back. Glory added. What thrilling news! Kestrel's a part of this? I've been looking for her for an awfully long time. The 5 dragonets rolled around. Queen Scarlet was standing in the entranceway. Behind her, the tunnel was blocked by a row of sky wings in different shades of flame. All of them large and all of them breathing all spurts of fire, and all of them angry. But none of them looked as angry as the Queen of the Skywings. I haven't seen Kestrel in what, 7 years? Scarlet said in a pleasant voice that didn't match the range in her eyes. What a fun reunion this is going to be. She whipped her tail back and forth behind her. All of my least favorite dragons in one place. Clay was the closest dragonet to her. He took a step back toward his friends and spread his wings. She had to go through him to get to them. Again, fucking Jesse, am I right? He hoped that she couldn't see how hard. He hoped that she couldn't see how his claws were shaking. You followed us here, Tsunami said with a choked voice. Oh, I didn't have to, said the Queen. Someone sent up a lovely smoke signal for me. Lit us all right here. What a brilliant idea. My idea, Clay thought, horrified. This is my fault. I'm the one who brought the Skywings down on us. Who are you? Sunny squeaked. Now, really, this is getting insulting, said the Queen. You're in my territory. Apparently, you're living under my mountain. I'm only the most important dragon for hundreds of miles. How dare you not recognize me? She arched her neck and spread her bejeweled wings. Queen Scarlet of the Skywings, Starflight breathed. She crouched low, touching her head toward the head to the floor and crossing his front talons together. Now, that's more like it, she said, striding into the cave. 3 moons, it's gloomy in here. She glanced around, spotted Starflight's sack of scrolls and set it ablaze with one burst of fire. Oh no! His scrolls! Starflight stared at the burning scrolls, frozen in place. Clay edged sideways, trying to shield him and Sunny and Glory all at once. If only he were bigger. My goodness, Queen Scarlet said, squinting. You're a Nightwing! She batted Clay aside as he were made of leaves and grabbed Starflight's chin. Clay scrambled up again, took a step toward her, but the clanking of armor and grim expressions of the Skywings spilling into the cave made him stop. A Nightwing not even yet 10 years old, Queen Scarlet said, turning Starflight around and prodding his scales like he was a cow she planned to eat for dinner. How thrilling! They don't normally let their dragonets out to the world. We might corrupt their superior perfection or something, you know. She breathed smoke into his face, and he coughed. I've never had a Nightwing in my arena before. Thrilling, thrilling. Tell me, what am I thinking right now? Starflight's expression was pure terror. Too hard? Queen Scarlet teased. I'll give you a hint. I'm thinking, now why would a Nightwing, a Sea-Wing, and a Mudwing would be hiding out under my mountain, along with whatever those two are that the Mudwing is cutely trying to protect? She flicked her tail at Glory and Sunny. Clay shivered as the Queen leaned closer to Starflight. This wouldn't have anything to do with a certain prophecy, would it? What is going on out here? Doom grumbled, limping into the cave. He stopped short of the slide of the Skywings. His black eyes turned slowly toward the Queen, and Clay saw fear on his face for the first time ever. Webs! He yelled, and then the maimed Singwing hurried across the cave toward the Queen. Stop! Sunny shrieked. They'll hurt you! Doom didn't even seem to hear her. He seized Queen Scarlet and flung her away from Starflight. Don't touch them, he roared. You'll never get your claws on them. The Queen twisted in midair and landed her feet facing him, hissing. They're mine now, she snarled. She launched herself at Dune. Webs came pounding into the caves as the Skywing soldiers erupted toward their Queen. He barely paused before throwing himself in their way. His tail smacked 3 of them back, and his claws racked the underbelly of another. Clay had never seen him fight before. He hadn't known webs could be dangerous. Stay back, Clay said to Sunny. And you should hide yourself, he said to Glory. Disappear while you try to die for us again? She said. No thanks. She pushed past him and went after Tsunami, who was already fighting alongside Webs. Clay shoved Sunny up onto a boulder rim to join them. Wait, I can help, Sunny called. Can I? These dragons are sacred, Dune shouted. Oh, you know, it's supposed to be shouting. These dragons are sacred, Dune shouted as Queen Scarlet smashed into a Stogomate. She was smaller than him, but deceptively strong, and his old injuries slowed him down. He staggered up, gasping, with his scarred wing trailing quickly beside him. They're the Dragonets of Destiny! You can't have them! But what if it's my destiny to play with them? She said, lashing at her claws at his stump. He howled, and a stream of blood poured from his new wound. Oh, wait, that's right. I don't care about destiny. I don't care about prophecies or any of that Nightwing silliness. Queen Scarlet scored her talons along his wing, ripping open the scars. Besides, they made me awfully mad and then ran away. That happens to me far too often, but you know what? I always find the ones who betray me in the end, even if I have to wait 7 years. The Queen seized Dune by the neck and pinned him up against the wall. Right, Kestrel? Clay stumbled. The Skywing he was fighting knocked him over and trapped his tail and wings beneath 4 massive feet. The battle seemed to freeze for a moment, and from his crushed position, Clay saw Kestrel slide into the cave. Poor Scarlet, she said bitterly. Everyone betrays you. Well, you got me now. Let these worthless others go. She didn't even look down at the Dragonettes. Clay twisted his head and met Tsunami's eyes. He would never have guessed that Kestrel would give herself up to save them. Maybe she really meant it about keeping them alive. Maybe that was the only thing she cared about, no matter how much she hated them. Kestrel, the Queen hissed. That sounded like an order. Have you switched from disobeying orders to giving them now? I won't fight, Kestrel said, her voice cold and hard. I'll come with you. Just leave them. These Dragonets have nothing to do with the Skywings. You will come with me, said Queen Scarlet. Funny that you thought you had a choice about that. We've got a thrilling trial planned, followed by an even more thrilling execution. But as for these little dragons... She swept her tail toward Clay and his friends. You can't really expect me to give up prizes like this. There are no prizes, Kestrel snorted. They're useless, every one of them. Plus I'm weird looking, Sunny chimed in from the top of her rock. The Queen's tongue flicked out of her mouth, and more smoke coiled around her horns. Oh, and they're just the new blood my arena needs. It would be terribly sad to let them go. I would be too. too devastated. Clay tried to heave the Skywing off him, but the soldier who had him pinned was too big. He barely glanced down at Clay's pathetic struggles. This would be a good time to call up that inner monster, Clay thought. But no surge of strength or violence or rage answered him. Take 'em all, Queen Scarlet announced. Except this one, of course. She shook Dune lightly, as if he were shaking a luff of a dead pigeon. He clawed at her talons, his eyes bulging. I mean, what use is a crippled dragon who can't fly? I'm surprised you haven't killed yourself already, Sandwing. But I can take care of that for you. No! Sunny screamed, leaping at them, but it was too late. With a chilling crack, Queen Scarlet snapped Dune's neck and dropped his body on the stone floor. Dune! Sunny howled. She squirmed past Scarlet and crouched beside him, shaking him with her front talons. His mangled wing flopped, and his scales scraped against the rocks. His black eyes were empty. Dune, wake up! Clarified was too horrified to move. Even if he could have escaped the Skywing soldier, Dune is dead, and it's all my fault. I came up with a smoke signal plan. I brought the Skywings here to kill him. Who else is going to die because of me? Kestrel suddenly lunged at the Skywing soldiers. He grabbed the one who was clutching webs and ripped him free. Tell the Talons, she snarled, shoving webs toward the river. Before anyone could stop him, webs pelted down the slope and dove into the water. A huge wave doused the rocks and splashed all the dragons. He vanished below the surface while Clay was still blinking. Clay remembered the tight gap in the long tunnel he had swum through. Would webs fit? Would he make it outside? Ooh, Queen Scarlet said, wiping her crest dry with one claw. The Talons of Peace. I hope they try storming my sky palace to save you. That would be thrilling fun, especially the part where we slaughter them all. The Skywing soldiers brought chains forward and started wrapping each of the dragons in heavy iron. Clay caught Glory's eye. Hide, he mouthed. He shook her head. No way, I'm coming. No way, I'm going with you, she whispered. The weight of the chains made Clay's wings and head droop as they all were marched through the tunnel and out into the dawn. The sun was slithering up the sky, casting golden light across the mountains. Clay glanced up and thought he saw a dark figure circle overhead, spot them, and fly away. He guessed it might have been Marasir, but he wasn't surprised that the Nightwing had made no effort to rescue them. Nightwings never got their claws dirty. They delivered prophecies and told other dragons what to do, but they stayed out of the war and avoided fighting. Clay's heart ached. Oh, I got a package, I think. I'm almost there! Clay's heart ached. They come so close to freedom, but now they were far off worse than before. Life under the mountain had felt like prison, but he knew it was nothing compared to being trapped in the claws of the Skywing Queen. And that's it for this stream. Bang dun dun dun! And that's part 2. Well, next time it's part 2. We're at page 119 of book 1. And right? I think, right? I'm stopping the stream, don't worry. If before all of you say something about it, like me being overboard. 304, 119. We've got about 304 minutes. 185 pages left until we finish book 1. Well, that's one way to end it. I know, it's dark as shit. And this is like a children's book. Like a pre-teens children's book. I'm gonna catch up on the comments. Yeah, Sunny's a sunshine. Yeah, sunshine in a bottle. Yeah, I'm realizing how they're similar to the Order. I know! It's really funny because this book came out, like, prior, like, what, a mere 3 years before Story Mode ever came out? That's like, what? That's crazy! Um, except, like, it's, oh my gosh, oh my god, dude. Hi, people. Hi, Ashley. I missed you being on here. How's everything going? I see your Wings of Fire thing. I know what character that is, Kibble, but I'm not supposed to say that until the second arc when we ever get there. But, so, on the map here, so, you can see where the Sky Wing, the Sky Kingdom is on that wing there. And you can see where the palace is. It's like, roughly there. Oh, are you asking what? Okay, so Ashley was asking me. Are you asking like everyone's favorite book or like what my favorite book is? If that's the case, my favorite book, I have like a few. In Arc 1, I've always liked Thor. I think it's because hi, Stella, we just finished part 1 of book 1. We're going to end the stream here in a minute. But I was explaining cuz Ashley here was explaining asking what my favorite book was, and I was saying book 4 is probably my favorite, even though a lot of people don't like it. I like it because Starflight's in it. I think, yeah, I always liked that book. I have to reread it again. It's been like a long time, but I know I think either book 2 or book 4 was like my favorite. For Arc 2, I know we're not there yet, but in Arc 2 I liked 6 and 8. 8 was really good too. I don't remember a lot of 7, probably because I skimmed through it a lot and was trying to catch up, but once I get through there, once I get there, I might remember things. And also with Arc 3, which is a long time coming, probably from then, I have to reread it again. I have to reread it again because reasons. It's been a hot minute since I've last. Oh my gosh, my friend just texted me a bunch of fucking. Okay, the person that voice acts like Ivor and Radar in my projects. He texted me a bunch of lines I have to get to, but I want to end the stream first. Oh, the donut! I want a donut. You're making me hungry. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream because that's where I'm at. I'm at 3 hours. Oh wow, so you read yeah, I've read all of them up to book 16, which I'm still reading right now is book 16. I'm just like kind of doing this just for fun and like recap because I'm reading the 16th book and it's been a long time since the last one came out. So seeing this was cool. Thank you for the amazing stream. Oh, shucks. I'm glad it's okay. Food is speaking of donuts, oh man, I would go for donuts right now. But yeah, since I'm at 3 hours, I think it's a good stopping point. And we're about halfway through the book, almost, which is great. That means we're on time. Yeah, 16 is interesting so far. It focuses on a Mudwing, but I don't want to spoil it because this is like a different character that none of you would probably know. Yeah, I need to get dinner like right now. I need to do that. I can't. I have to go be human for like a little bit. But anyway, before I let me pause the video. Before I leave, thank you for watching, and for people that joined in, I hope y'all had a great time watching it. Oh, great, the bitrate is weird. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm gonna get off. Alright, guys. See y'all later.